Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Great to be with you. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. Good Monday. What a good week this is. Wow, if you're a sports fan, you embrace the hell out of this week. Good times indeed. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything, but if you do, go back, get caught up, as we shall post the show upon its conclusion, both on our website but also on iTunes. So go continue to see this thing thrive in popularity by saying, yes, I'm going to download, let it populate. Email me if you like, jcs at 979ESPNradio.com. On Twitter, at JCameronShow, also at 979ESPN Radio if you want to Periscope. Hello, YouTubers. Good to be with you. Thanks for watching. Masters Week. Got the championship tonight for college basketball. NHL playoffs get underway. Post-spring football to wrap up. And obviously Florida State, Florida in baseball. Also the Clemson series beginning this week. So, damn it, man, we got some things. There's a lot going on this week.
It's a big weekend for the baseball team, or big week in general.
Well, we'll get to them. They're on the back burner because programs that aren't very good don't lead the show. They're back down here, but we'll get to them. Got a chance to flip it around and get better billing as the show goes along, as the weeks go along, but they got to get better results, Tom. That's the way it works. That's the way it works. Right now, they don't warrant that. Another series loss to a rival. Shocking. First two games, we didn't score a run.
So if we're talking about good programs only, does that mean we're leading with softball?
Well, they're really good, but we don't always just lead with Florida State. Sometimes we lead with other things. I mean, so there's like tonight's NCAA championship, for example. I, for one, am excited about Virginia, Texas Tech. As much as you can be excited about two teams you don't give a damn about. But lots of sports come to the conclusion at the end of the year when they crown a champion, whether it's the NFL or the NBA or college basketball, that see the combatants beat teams you don't give a damn about. And that doesn't stop you if it's compelling. It doesn't stop you from watching if you like sports and you care about competition and you want to see the best of the best. Now, the NCAA tournament rarely gives us the best of the best in any given year. That is to say, this tournament doesn't always conclude with the best team in the country over the course of a long season playing against the next best team in the country over the course of the long season for all the marbles, or two that have played equally as well. Typically, that doesn't happen because of the truncated nature of the tournament and how random it can be. And thus we get a matchup like Texas Tech and Virginia, where I think we would both agree there are better teams than either one of these two teams. Maybe not much better, but there are some that are better. But these two teams have played really, really well, and they've both played really, really well all season long. It's not like Texas Tech is a 10 seed. They're a 3 seed. They're a really good team. They've won over 30 games. They've been arguably the best defensive team in all college basketball this year, not named Virginia. Or better than Virginia. Depends on the statistic you want to look at. They are an elite defensive club, as is Virginia, and thus those two teams with veterans and dominant defenses find themselves in the final game, and we'll get to it. Let's lead with the spring game. Why don't we do that? Because obviously that's the last time for a little while that we get to break down anything to do with on-field performance for Florida State football. And I, for one, certainly went in there eyes wide open with the thought being that nothing that I witnessed, nothing that I watched on that given Saturday was going to necessarily lead me to the conclusion that this team is destined to win 10 games or do something really, double win in total from a year ago would be something, right? I mean, I wasn't going to say that, wasn't going to glean anything from this game that would lead me to that, but I also went into the game less cynical than I think a lot of people, believe it or not, less jaded. I didn't go into the game saying that there would be nothing that I could witness that would encourage me. And make me a little bit more optimistic, just like I went into the game thinking that maybe I'd see things that may be less optimistic. So I went into it mind open. Let's see what we get. And frankly, what I saw was encouraging. I don't know that you could take anything away from that Saturday glorified scrimmage and say anything other than that. They looked more organized. Let's just start with that. The very thing that shook us to our core about last year's season, Willie's first year as head coach, was that at the end of the year, they didn't look any better than they did at the beginning of the year. Things didn't get better. They, in some areas, regressed. They looked absolutely lost. Kids didn't know where to line up. They couldn't execute plays without it looking like a circus at times. Mass confusion, penalties, false starts, alignment issues, things that just left you wondering, do they practice? That was the conversation at the end of last year when Florida came in here and beat the hell out of us. And that, I think, more than anything else, is what led to such a dampening of hope amongst the fan base. You were going to have those that are embittered because of things that happened last year, but also things that happened the year before, and a lackluster season the year before that. So it led to what was a kind of a crescendo effect, a 3-year buildup of frustration, and a lot of those people took all of that out on Willie, when in fact you could only take the 1 year out on Willie, not all 3. But then there were those that were more objective, more reasonable, and able to articulate what exactly had them frustrating about the specifics of last year. And it would have been that, to me, that they looked confused, that there were signs of disarray behind the scenes, that the coaching staff was not simpatico, that the players didn't believe in the coaches, and they certainly didn't know how to get lined up. So whether it be the actual execution of said offense or the signs that things were problematic behind the scenes, it all added up to not only 5-7 and the end of a bowl streak, but a real worry that Willie was in over his head. So what had to happen? Well, changes had to happen, and those changes were made. And one wanted to see, at least in this spring game, evidence that some of those changes are leading to a more positive result, steps being made to remedy the problems of a year ago. This spring game did that. If nothing else, it did that. They were more organized. They got lined up. They played fast. They looked like they had a clue. We saw improvement in key areas, including, I would say, at linebacker. I think that the offensive line showed a modicum of improvement. They were certainly more organized, seemed to have a pretty good understanding of who they were supposed to block. They were far more consistent in their efforts. Now, above and beyond that, I think what you take away are maybe moments where individual play led you to be excited about the potential of a certain player. I think Jaleel McRae on defense comes to mind at linebacker. That was an area of very real concern. He looks like a guy that's going to help fix some of the problems at linebacker. Certainly brings the requisite size necessary for Florida State to run fill and do those kinds of things. He gets point A to point B pretty quickly and has a little what for to him. Amari Gaynor played well at the position as well. So those were reasons to be excited. If you're worried about the secondary, maybe you still are. But Akeem Dent and Asante Samuel and guys like that probably give you reason to believe that things are going to be a little bit better at that position this year. I think that's true. I think you could take that away from the spring game. I think offensively, you were probably already aware that our skill positions were solid, that wide receiver and running back was not really a position of concern, that those guys could play if you could get the ball to them, if your quarterback could remain upright, if you could block it up long enough to distribute the football. I think the spring game showed that position is a position of strength, that the skill position players are talented. They are make-you-miss guys. They are guys that can really run. Those are guys that can be problematic for opposing defenses if we can block it up at all. So between that and young, fresh faces like Dante Lucas or the return of Cologne Laybourne, guys like that, I think there was a positive vibe from the spring game that was warranted. I think you can say that, and you don't sound like too much of a homer who's just blindly hoping against hope that things are going to be better. No, some things look better. They better have. If they hadn't, this would be a very different opening to the show, and you want to talk about a long summer lying in wait as we basically spell out the impending doom of a season and perhaps tenure of a coach. That's what was at stake to some degree. You decide what, but to some degree during the spring game. And I thought that they met the standard of improvement that I was expecting to see.
I think what it does is it creates a genuine interest in the first game of the season rather than a sense of dread. Like, you're going to turn on that TV or you're going to attend the game in Jacksonville and you're going to be, intrigued, borderline excited when we kick the ball off rather than dreading what you're about to watch for 3 hours. And I think that's about as much as this could do. But the good thing was...
that's correct. That's as much as it could do.
The good thing was, I think, especially in the offensive line, you've got a number of bodies, especially at guard and center. I thought Baselli did a pretty good job as a center on the Garnet squad. Not that he's better than Bavion, but it's just you got two guys there now, and it looks like you've got, I don't know, between 4 and 6 options, given that Minshew and Dickerson did not play in this game. Maybe Dickerson has to play tackle. I don't know. But it looks like you've got a 2 deep and then some that give you at least a baseline. I think we can define now from left guard to right guard that there is a baseline of play that we can expect, that they're going to win some battles.
Yeah, they're not going to get completely overwhelmed play after play. Yeah,
which is nice.
Yeah, listen, the way we describe what's necessary on the offensive line to go into this season with a measure of hope, with any belief at all that this team can somehow win 8 games, is for that group, that unit, that segment, that offensive line to get to where they are slightly below average. I mean, you can describe it however you want, but to me, the descriptors matter not. They just can't be a dumpster fire. They can't be the worst offensive line in the ACC. They can't be the worst offensive line in the Power 5. Can they just be something that you would describe if they were some other team's offensive line as not very good? You know, if I'm watching Wake Forest or name whoever you want to name, and I don't care about them, and I'm not consistently watching them, but I tune into a game because maybe I have, who knows, a betting interest in what happens that day. Or maybe I begin to scout them that week because perhaps as a sporting guy, I may want to place a bet. Well, when I watch that team, if I'm looking at the pluses and minuses, I would say, well, their offensive line is not very good. But they do run a system that gets the ball out of the quarterback's hands pretty quickly, and I do like their defense, and they're matching up against the team, and then so on and so forth, and I'm educating myself for the bet. What I can't do when I look at us, just like I would any other team, is go, oh, they can't block anybody. This is one-sided. They've got no chance. The play is over before it starts. That's the worst offensive line I've ever seen. That's what we were saying about our offensive line last year. People who were playing that fictitious me, that version of me, that hypothetical I just laid out there, literally probably were stunned all across the country. People in Texas and California and places that don't follow Florida State on the regular sat down and thought, I'm going to place a bet this weekend. And they went, oh, my God, what happened at Florida State? What happened to these a-holes? They can't block anybody. They had to have been flabbergasted. So I want those very same people this year to be able to go, they've made some improvements, look a lot better. It's not good, looks a lot better than it did. And I think there's a little bit of hope it comes out of the spring game in that regard, right?
Yeah, I think we arrive at that place after this performance. And what I thought I saw, it's hard to know because sometimes the linebacker play that matched up against some of these situations was not great. And the players were not out there. That's what I mean by it. Second teamers, third teamers. But it looked like if they needed to get or wanted to get a yard or two, they were able to do so their fair share of the time. And for me, that's wonderful because in third and short, if you don't have to pass it 100% of the time, then you're starting to play some football.
I thought they showed the ability to run the ball every now and again, right? Yeah,
the interior.
In those situations, it was the interior.
We've had years where it was run left, young man, or run right, young lad. And this one is, I think, run between the guards.
By the way, tell me you didn't like the play calling there. I mean, I'm going to give it to you 4 times in a row. Mm-hmm. I'm not screwing around here.
Yeah.
I'm going to create a mindset. You sons of bitches are going to get out on somebody and block. We are going to run the ball here.
For like a series, but then we're going to throw the ball because...
No, I get a spring game. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about, and I agree with you. I like that idea, yes, but I also like the idea that, well, if we're going to try and run the ball, 40 times here, then this is going to be the worst spring game of all time. So let's try and score some points. Let's get the ball out of the quarterback's hands.
Throw off a play action as well, though.
I thought they had a clue. It looked like in terms of the protections that they were doing when they would chip, they'd have some help with the H-backs or whatever they're called in our system, tight ends, McDonald and McKitty. They looked pretty good there. The backs looked okay in protection. They did a lot of things to give themselves the best chance to be successful down the field. And I think one of the frustrations that fans would say from last year is that we didn't always give ourselves a chance to be successful, especially first down play calling. The first month of the season, how many times would we scream to the ceiling or the sky, depending if we were indoors or outdoors? My God, you really want to run another dive here. 2nd and 11? Okay. False start, 2nd and 16. Here we go. It looks like this year, and it's just a spring game, but we may have some more 2nd and 6s in there to mix them in. So we might have a fighting chance.
Give yourself a fighting chance. That's all you can do. Give yourself a fighting chance. Sure. So the spring game was a success. There were not a lot of people at said spring game. I didn't figure there would be. I missed the concert. You guys can weigh in via Twitter at Jay Cameron Show or email jcs at 979espnradio.com on how the concert was. I can't imagine it was very good. Color Me Bad was there. That can't be good. But I do, Hammer's Hammer. I'm sure he.
We thought that would be the main event, and it turns out the football game was all right. It was okay.
Yeah, it was worth your time, I suppose. I mean, A, if you like football. And
especially
B,
the first half. Second half,
Yeah, well, that's every spring game, though. I don't care if you're the best team in the country. You could be watching the greatest athletes that your university's ever assembled. About a half of a spring game is all you really need to see.
This is probably not the lead, but it's just the thing that's on my mind right now. I like that Dent is cross-training. I like that it seems like he's going to be on the field.
He's got some what for to him.
Right. So if he's training at safety, he's any good there, all right, you can flex him around the field. Those instincts for the ball, some guys have them, some guys don't. Some guys have them, they don't have the hands to finish the play. It looks like he's got all of the above.
It's an impressive skill set, and they've got a few guys like that. So I do think that the team can be a decent team in the ACC. I mean, I hate having to describe what I think we're capable of as merely decent to slightly above average. But when you go 5-7,
right? Yeah, you feel much better about things, but you're like, all right, 8 wins. Yeah.
Well, and remember this.
9 of everything breaks right.
Well, and it's a tough thing because nobody likes to have to settle. But here's the deal, man. For long as Trevor Lawrence is at Clemson, we ain't winning the Atlantic. So just get to where when that kid finally freaking leaves, you can win the Atlantic. Can we take steps to that end, please? When their Jameis Winston leaves, can you go win the Atlantic?
I know that we felt pretty good about the running back position last year, but I feel a lot better about it after this game because I think Grant.
He's going to be very good, and I think that Laborn's going to be really, really
well,
good.
Well, his 0 to 60 is already back.
Yeah, it's already there.
My God, has that dude just been doing upper body workouts while he's waiting on his legs?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. That's like Michael Pittman back there. Hopefully he doesn't have the fumbling issues. But Grant looks just as reliable as can be, which is what you need in a change of pace guy or somebody you're going to bring in.
Do we feel like Cam Akers is ever going to be what he was his freshman year? I don't know that he's going to be.
Well, the way he finished on his first touchdown run gives you an indication that he has a chance, I think.
I hope so. I'm rooting for him.
LeBourne looks like the home run hitter.
He does.
It's like if Cam had a good offensive line, he'd most certainly be your starter. But if you have a spotty offensive line, you might need the home run hitter like LeBourne to get the most out of your chances.
Well, in the same way that, and I'm certainly not comparing him to the guy, but obviously in the same way you needed Dalvin to do Herculean things behind the line of scrimmage in order to create the kinds of runs that he did.
Dalvin would have been fine behind any offensive line, but
literally Dalvin proved that. He was fine behind just ho-hum any offensive line. I mean, to the point where he took us to a bowl game.
He's got to be Neo in the Matrix before he even gets to the line of scrimmage.
Oh, Chippo's penultimate year, they're not going anywhere without him. They're missing the bowl game then. He literally just won games by himself constantly. In retrospect, we saw he was the only reason it didn't fall off a cliff. Tonight's matchup, a pair of top 5 teams defensively. It is the Texas Tech Red Raiders as the number 1 defensive team in adjusted defense. Virginia, number 5. Virginia, number 1 in fewest points allowed at 55.5 points per game. Texas Tech, number 3 at 58.8 points per game. So the ratings... The fans, I don't care about ratings. I know networks do. I don't care. As a fan, I don't care about ratings. That will be a talking point a little bit too much for my taste. But admittedly, if I were a network exec, given the names of these two schools and the way in which they win, a little bit of nerves. A little bit of nerves about what that number might be tonight.
If you got any avails, you discount the spots, and then, you sell them on the long-term vision. Next year, we'll have a big, big final.
We shall see tonight. I am anxious to watch the game. I'm looking forward to it. More on that game. Florida State's trip down south to take on Miami ended up on a high note with a victory on Sunday. The first 2 games spoke to perhaps a pending collapse. And if you thought the train was off the tracks after Friday and Saturday, you thought, oh, they may not make the postseason. Don't know where your head's at now, but I'll document what happened for those of you that didn't watch, which my guess is these days is 98% of my audience not tuning into that. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Need help moving? 2 Men and a Truck Tallahassee provides professional home and business move services, both locally and long distance. For your next move, visit 2men.com or call them at 850-224-2232. 2 Men and a Truck, the movers who care.
Let's think about customization presented by Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Liberty Mutual customizes your auto insurance so you only pay for what you need. So why can't more things in life be customizable? Why can't I buy Neapolitan ice cream without strawberry? Can't I just have the chocolate and vanilla flavors I'm comfortable with? Do people even want a fruity ice cream flavor sandwiched right between the classics?
Go to libertymutual.com for a customized quote and you could save.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Coverage is underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Equal housing insurer.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Stugotz on Stupidity had Ron Darling on from a different time in the sport. Back when a team in baseball could be all cocaine-y. That's not a thing now. You can't have a team that's all cocaine.
Actually, I'm pretty sure you can because they don't test for it.
All right, but we don't look
the
at
managers get tested for it, which is what happened to Ron.
Hold on a
Remember
second.
Ron Washington?
Hold on.
Let's do a 30 for 30 on that.
Tried it for the first time when he was 73, I believe.
Not that old. The 86 Mets, you could look at them and just say cocaine. You didn't need anything else. Just like you could look at that Phillies team and say steroids because Pete Incaviglia was leaving an oil slick in left field whenever it is that he ran in from the outfield.
Inky.
Ron Washington was about 56 years old at the time.
How are you so comfortable calling someone 73?
The way I remember it.
The Dan Le Batard Show, weekdays at 10 a.m. on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
O'Reilly. Springtime means yard work and lots of it. So when it's time to replace the battery in your riding lawnmower or tractor, let O'Reilly Auto Parts help. The professional parts people will help you find just the right Superstart lawn and garden battery to make sure your mower starts over and over again. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram is the Jeep headquarters of America. We've purchased over 100 Jeep Renegades, and they've all arrived and are on the lot for immediate delivery. 2018 Jeep Renegade Latitude with MSRP starting at $25,120. On sale now for $18,870. That's a savings of $6,250. A new Jeep starting at only $18,870. Those prices are unheard of and can only be found at your Jeep headquarters of America, Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. No other dealer can offer you this kind of savings. We buy in mass quantities and pass along the savings to you. 2018 Jeep Renegade Latitude, starting at $18,870. Payments as low as $299 a month. On the corner of West Tennessee and Capitol Circle, where we're right on the corner and always right on the price. Check us out on the web at TallahasseeDCJ.com. All prices include rebates and incentives plus tax, title, and dealer fee. State number 18J605. Must finance through Chrysler Capital and qualify for all rebates and incentives.
Chuck Oliver here, and Tallahassee, let's talk college football in the South. Join me every weekday at 1 p.m. right here for wall-to-wall coverage of every big program in the region. Whether it's the ACC or SEC, college football is always on our minds. The conversation happens right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio, Tallahassee Sports Monster.
You're listening to The Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Yes, this week's going to clear up, right? I just walked outside during the break, and it's pouring down rain. What the hell are we doing here? I know weather's not a topic for people listening to a podcast, but it is Masters Week, and thus I'd like the weather locally, even though that's in Augusta, to mirror that of the beautiful weather in Augusta.
Love our podcast listeners, but we're Tallahassee first, folks. Tomorrow looks like a mixed bag, but then Wednesday, Thursday, okay, Friday, cloudy, and then some storms on Saturday,
what's all this
Sunday.
Okay nonsense? No. This is too good a week, man. It's the NHL playoffs. It's the Masters. It's Florida State baseball against Florida and Clemson. No. We can't have all this.
It looks like the bad weather continues into tomorrow morning, and then I can only see as far as 3 p.m. on this not reliable at all map, because it changes with they have no idea what they're doing.
No, they don't.
And yet I still believe them once a day when I check it. But it looks like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday should be all right.
Okay. Well, because, trying to get some golf in this week, too. Can't have all this.
You're gosh darn right.
Yes. Trying to get a little golf in as well. The top of the hour at 4 o'clock, we'll be joined by Ira Schafel to talk spring game football. Florida State was on the road against Miami, and the way things have gone against arch rival Florida, you thought maybe we'll see an uptick in our performance against arch rival Miami to kind of offset the profound disappointment we currently find in our baseball team. But then Friday happened, and it was 11-0. Then Saturday happened, and it was 4-0. And in addition to not scoring runs, we struck out a lot. And you thought, I just don't feel real good. But then Sunday, a 6-5 win. J.C. Flowers, your star there. And bravo, young man. Thank goodness for you. Hitting home runs, coming in and pitching, doing all kinds of things for us these days, because without it, I wouldn't have much to hang my hat on. This is a team that, isn't very good right now. Doesn't mean they can't get better. I don't know that they're going to be good at any point. The time that I was most concerned a couple years ago, admittedly, and this was a point of contention back and forth with me and Coach Martin Jr., but he was right in the end with the team not being healthy. That part of it was true, that they hadn't played well. That was accurate, but we weren't healthy yet, and they went on to get it together. They're pretty healthy right now. They're just not any good. But I do hold out hope because of precedent. They haven't had, and this is why the legacy is what it is, they haven't had the off-the-rails season that so many prominent programs, almost all prominent programs, have had. So right when you think it's careening and it's not going to be able to come back, they have always found a way, even in their worst years, to make it so that it's not only presentable, but postseason worthy, and maybe even give you a scare. Because if you get to the postseason, who knows? Play well for a week, you can do some things. Sunday's win was nice to end the bleeding, to end the losing streak, to get a win for Coach Martin in his final game down at Marklight Stadium. I was happy about that. I still call it Marklight.
It is.
Well, A-Rod paid all that money out of it. But anyhow.
I think he got the field.
Whatever it is. But I'm glad they got a win, obviously, just to feel better about themselves before they play this game against Florida. It is my sincere hope that obviously they find a way to salvage something and get a win over Florida this week, and in the hopes that maybe Mike Martin's last game against his two arch rivals end in victory. That'd be nice. Still don't pitch real well. Drohan's got good stuff. Is if he doesn't walk people, he's an effective starter. He wasn't great, but he can be consistent. We'll see. We'll see.
It can be independent of the result because baseball's goofy, but I think tomorrow night's going to tell you a lot about the mental fortitude of this team, at least for the 2019 season. Because this is something that you could be overwhelmed by. It's something that could you could be, I guess, too excited for tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like you play the game before it happens, and so it looks like you're kind of crashing after the adrenaline rush. If this team has that little middle ground where it could play spirited, focused, willing to go get a victory, not just for themselves, but for the man in the dugout, you could still lose 3-2 tomorrow and yet play a really good game that gives you a sign that, okay, maybe things are starting to round into form a little bit as we head into big-time ACC play.
Maybe.
Listen, all that might be BS and it doesn't turn out that way, but that's my hope.
I'm looking. Did they move a game? Did they schedule this? Somebody's tweeting at us right now as we're talking right now. Look and see if anything's gotten moved. I was asking you about the weather, so I don't know if they're moving things around or what they're doing here, but double check on that. Just want to make sure we get it right for our listeners. I'm not sure because as we came on the air, we stopped researching at that moment other than when we're in break. So I'll look then. But having said all that, you never know when the light bulb is going to go off for a team. The team that started the year was a team that was brimming with confidence and a team that picked up the baseball and a team that seemed to be poised to have a real good year. I grant you that at that time the competition is not nearly what it is once you jump into ACC play and you have to more consistently see the kind of pitching that they are now. If there's one guy that I really continue to worry about, it's Mr. Cabell, who just cannot hit the baseball at all right now. I mean, literally make contact with the ball. And it's I just worry about when things like that start to go south, it can snowball. And I'm not in that clubhouse, so I don't know day to day what a kid's made of. And I'm not certainly going to second guess his toughness. But if you're going to go through a stretch where you can't make contact at all, and you're going to strike out 8 times in a weekend while going over, well, I don't know if you might not need a rest. Let's just put it that way.
I'm not seeing anything. We're playing tomorrow, Florida, 6 p.m. There's the latest thing on FSU Baseball's Twitter, which is usually where you find these things. They're quite good about updating the Twitter.
That, yeah.
Is just a link for tickets because limited tickets remain for both tomorrow and the weekend series against Clemson. So,
all right. We'll continue to monitor. You know who else has had it? Just a disappointing. I guess when I look at this team, they should be better than they are. They don't pitch real well, so obviously until that gets better, that's going to be a problem. But I really thought Mendoza was due for a huge year, and he's hit for power. He's got 8 home runs. He's amongst the leaders in the ACC in that category. He gets on base. He gets on base. If you're just looking at modern day baseball, where you talk about hitting for power and getting on base, and that equaling being a real good player or an offensive player, there's merit to that for him. But I don't think he's having the kind of season he thought he was going to have. 260 hitter. College baseball ain't going to get it done. I know batting average is independent on some other factors, but he doesn't make enough contact either.
But he's come on later in the year once before, so it could be maybe that he is just somebody who breaks a little bit late. I'm holding out hope. Now, this week can be the final nail in the coffin with 3 against Clemson coming up this weekend in the game against Florida. It could be the one that shows you beyond a shadow of a doubt you got real issues and regional play is not looking likely. But give me this one more week before I do that.
Well, the reason you say that, and I know we sound silly to some extent, sort of rattling the cages and jumping off the cliff, or however you want to describe it, because there have been years where they've been bad and then they turned it around, and we've noted that and accentuated that several times when talking about this team. But the reason you would raise an eyebrow here is there a dynamic that is different because it is Mike Martin's final year? And then is that an added pressure thing, for example? And then B, I would say when your RPI is in the hundreds, and now you've got a chance to improve that, true. But when you've faced better competition, you haven't met that challenge. And now you are doing that. Now you go on the road, you lose 2 of 3 to Miami. Now you got Florida, who you can't beat ever, seemingly. And then you got 3 against Clemson. Then you've got 3 against Virginia. This isn't things get difficult, and you've got to find a way to start winning some of these series, playing better baseball, gaining confidence as we get late into the year and when we get into May with the ACC and all that. You got to be playing a lot better baseball, but you got to improve your RPI. You got to get to a place where you're considered for postseason play.
Yeah, that's what this week is odd.
It's just saying it gets more and more pressure-filled.
Yeah, as odd as it sounds, because you're playing these 4 games at home this week. If you can go 2-2, I think that gives you a chance. It gives you a fighting chance and something to work with. Because then you're 3-2 in your last 5. When the world is against you against Miami, and you flip it around, you flip it on its head. But I don't know this is a team that's ever going to scare a top 16 national seed. Now, we did that a couple of years ago when, everything looked completely dire. We flipped that script, and it was crazy. But this...
It was. I still reflect on that, yes.
Holding out hope this is a team that could be a no-brainer postseason team. That still is on the table here. And having a solid week at home against 2 rival programs for 4 baseball games. All right, let's see what you got.
They went 1-3 this past week, remain outside the top 25, lost at home to Jacksonville, got blanked in the first 2 games they played against Miami. If you're looking for hope, it's hard to find it. Doesn't mean it's not out there, but if you hear us stumbling in the dark about this, it might have to do with the fact that every week ends poorly for Florida State, it seems like, in baseball right now. So,
I'm not going to beat around the bush. They're impossible to watch. They are. They're impossible to watch. But we love them because they're Noles. They're impossible to watch, dude, right now. It's unfortunate because it feels like something different every night.
Well, I think the problem isn't that it's different every night. It's the same. They don't pick up the ball, they don't pitch real well, and they strike out a gazillion times.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
The multiple players that Texas Tech have that can do things off the dribble. They can create their own shots. Texas Tech having Jarrett Culver, having guys like Matt Mooney who made big-time shots the other day, or Moretti can get into the cracks of the defense. I think those are guys, if the game comes down to the wire, they can go get their own. I think that's an advantage for Texas Tech down the stretch.
Texas Tech starting forward Tariq Owens, who sprained his ankle in the win over Michigan State, is expected to play. The Lightning open up as the big favorite to win the franchise's second Stanley Cup, 2-1 odds according to Westgate's Superbook. Tampa Bay won an NHL record-tying 62 regular season games this year. Second best odds to hoist Lord Stanley's Cup. The Flames and Golden Knights at 10-1. Hurricanes, Blue Jackets, Islanders seen as the longest shots, each at 30-1. The Stanley Cup playoffs open up on Wednesday night. NBA doesn't appear. Celtics guard Marcus Smart with a left oblique strain and forward Jason Tatum with a left shin contusion will play in the regular season finale tomorrow in Washington. Boston is locked into the 4th seed in the East, will play Indiana in the first round of the playoffs. Baseball, the struggling Giants with their second trade in less than a week. They've acquired first baseman Tyler Austin from the Twins in exchange for a prospect. 3-7 San Francisco hoping that Austin can help its offense, which has scored only 25 runs in its first 10 games of this season. Last week, the Giants acquired outfielder Kevin Pillar from Toronto.
The playoffs are here. The Corner Pocket is your home all spring long for all the heart-pounding moments in the NBA and Stanley Cup playoffs.
It's held in a shot, safe,
The Corner Pocket on Appalachia Parkway next to Earth Fair is your headquarters for FSU and Major League Baseball. Trivia Tuesdays, beer bingo Thursdays, and of course, all the moments you'll never forget.
For the championship!
The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Just like football, when it comes to the court of law, you're going to need a solid defense. I'm Michael D. Blank, attorney with the Law Office of Jose Fernandez in Tallahassee. At the Law Office of Jose Fernandez, there is never an upfront fee, and if we don't recover, then you don't pay anything. Our team is dedicated to handling all types of accident, injury, negligence, malpractice, and wrongful death cases. If you're unable to come to us, we can come to you day or night. Call us now, 855-HOSE-305, for your free consultation today. The Law Office of Jose Fernandez. We don't get paid until you do. Offices, Tallahassee, Miami. grfinjury.com. Go Noles.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
Hurricane Michael was not kind to many of our homes and businesses. As I ride through Tallahassee, the blue tarps and missing shingles are abundantly visible. While a few missing shingles may seem like minimal damage, I assure you they are not. Leaks can occur, causing wood decay, interior damage, or mold growth within your home or business. We specialize in storm damages and insurance claims. Let us get your roof back to shedding water, not leaking water. Call us today. We can help. At T-Spark Enterprises, we conquer all peaks.
Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
License number CCC 1331204.
Save the dates. Jerry's Famous Cigar Shop has rounded up some big names for the second annual Cigar Festival, April 11th through 13th. Meet Rainier Lorenzo of HVC Cigars, Danny DeFabio of Rodriguez Cigars, and Carson Sereno, owner of Sereno Cigars. Walk away with free cigars, great swag, and memories to last a lifetime. The second annual Cigar Festival is at Jerry's Cigars, April 11th, 12th, and 13th. Find out more at jerryscigarshop.com. Tallahassee's #1 destination for cigars.
Thursdays are Friday Eve, and that's a reason to celebrate. No matter what you're looking for, they've got you covered every Thursday down in College Town. Centrale offers 50% off select pizzas all day, every Thursday. Or you can stop by Township for Taco Thursday. $2 house tacos, $2. Madison Social offers the Social Agreement. You and a buddy can split one order of wings, 2 Madso burgers, 2 bourbons, 2 proof Madison Socials, all for just $40. See what they did there? And don't worry about parking. Plenty of spaces available in the parking deck or surrounding lots. Check out all the Thursday College Town deals right now on ThursdaysInCollegetown.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show podcast, available on demand at ESPNTallahassee.com and on iTunes today. The Jeff Cameron Show podcast is brought to you by Garnet and Gold of Tallahassee. When you buy FSU apparel, support local business. GarnetandGold.com. Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Tallahassee Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Right on the corner and always right on the price. Check out the latest 2019 inventory at TallahasseeDCJ.com.
For Virginia, their third ever Final Four appearance, their very first time ever in the finals. And because I like doing this, it makes Tom giggle and it makes me laugh too. I remember 1981, the Cavs were a 1 seed. They faced North Carolina, and they had swept the Tar Heels in the regular season. They got beat 78-65 in the semifinals in the Omni in Atlanta, Tom.
Oh, of course, the Omni.
You don't remember the Omni? Wasn't around for you?
I know the hotel, the downtown Omni.
Good old, the Omni, yeah. In 84, you still weren't alive, but I remember Ralph Sampson's crew. Virginia, number 7 seed in the East Regional, came from the middle of the pack of the ACC. They had a kid named Ricky Stokes at guard, and Rick Carlisle, by the way, current Mavs coach. Upset number 2 seed Arkansas, number 3 seed Syracuse, number 4 seed Indiana, made it to the Final Four in the Seattle Kingdom. They lost to Houston, who was the number 2 seed, 49-47. That game, Tom, 49-47 in overtime. Akeem the Dream Olajuwon had 12 points for Houston.
Oh, 49-47 overtime.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll bet everybody was riveted. They thought it was one of the great games they've ever seen.
Overtime, Tom. Big time, buddy. Hakeem Olajuwon, Hakeem the Dream. They held him to 12 points.
I told you. I watched recently on NBA TV. They had Game 5 of Jordan's first title. It was Lakers and Bulls. And I could not believe the product that I was watching for the NBA Finals, for the right to win the championship. The inside-out offense that L.A. was running, oh, my God, it was so bad.
The last vestiges of that, the inside-out offense was the standard in the 80s, certainly, where big men ruled the day, and you sent the ball down low to the Robert Parishes and Moses Malones of the world and see if they could operate. And then if they got doubled down, they kicked out for guys that could shoot the three.
I mean, you got Showtime.
Long two.
You got Showtime. You got Magic on the team, and everybody's like, all right, this is a really fun team to watch. And I get it. He was towards the end of his career.
Well, and they were a fun team to watch. The Lakers Showtime era basketball was great. That really wasn't Showtime era basketball.
No, it was just Game 5, and they were already done, and I get it. They were extremely limited, and it was awesome they made it to the finals in the first place. But still, it's just amazing how times change a little bit, right? And what you thought was entertaining, now that you look back, some things date well, some things do not.
What you do, it is interesting. When I watch, so when you go back to when ESPN Classic was a thing, right, and you'd sit down and watch ESPN Classic and you'd engage in nostalgia.
Still is a channel,
but nobody goes there.
I know.
Nobody even knows it's there, yeah. But you would go and sit down and watch, say, the 86 NBA Finals between the Celtics and Houston, or you'd watch whatever you would watch, right? So there were some sports, you're right, that you could watch and go, hasn't changed that much. On the whole, the game still played the same. Strategy really is the same. You can do a better job of comparing eras, even though bigger, stronger, faster is always going to exist. See evolution. Got it. But you would still, comparatively speaking, relatively speaking, you could still watch the same game. That's just not true of a lot of sports. And the first time you sit down to watch one of those, you go, oh, no, this is not – I can't watch. This is awful. This is not good. I don't like feeling guys I work with who never played the game would have a chance to win this.
Yeah, exactly. The thing I got a kick out of was an old intern of ours, we'll call him Jake for this discussion, was big on downloading
old games.
Old games, illegally downloading old basketball games.
I loved it because I would make a reference to a player. He'd be like, I know him. He would know it.
Yeah, exactly. And he had a projector that he would put on his wall at his apartment so he could watch some of these classic games. And there was a Bulls-Pistons game I remember watching. And I go, these dudes pass for NBA players back in the late 80s, early 90s?
Beat the bejesus out of each other is what they did, right?
They look like a dude that's, I don't know, running security for Jerry Springer, not an NBA forward. It's crazy.
There was an era, there were lots of eras of basketball where brawn was the whole thing, right? Just beating the bejesus out of people was really the way that you enforced defensive basketball.
It's like I feel like they measure forearm strength. All right, how strong are your hands? All right, okay, good. You're a basketball player. It's not that way anymore.
Can you? Because I don't do it, and you go back. Plus, you appreciate the sport and its history. Probably more so. No, not probably. You do more so than I do. Can you watch old hockey? Can you watch No, I'm not talking about when you were a kid. I'm not talking about circling back to a nostalgic era where you enjoyed watching early and mid-90s hockey. I'm talking about, can you watch if somebody threw on a 1970s Flyers game, would you?
No, you can't watch that because the goaltending's so bad. I mean, it's just atrocious. It looks like they took somebody out of the stands and threw goaltending pads on him. They're like, all right, just kick everything that comes your way.
Yeah.
Like, try and kick it.
Yeah.
It's the stupidest thing. I grew up in the era when Patrick Waugh revolutionized the position. The butterfly was the way to do it, and then you actually had athletes become part of that position. In those days, I mean, those guys had big guts. They're just standing in the net, and they're just – I mean, it's atrocious.
Now you see – freakishly athletic, huge dudes who are the most flexible people on the planet playing the positions.
Yeah, exactly.
Guys doing splits that are 6'4", 230 pounds.
To use basketball, it's a combination of like a small forward and Dominic Hasek from the 90s, who most people know even if they're not hockey fans, because that dude he's the one on the highlight reel with the weird-looking helmet. That's him. He's contorting his body all over the place like a true Russian gymnast. And so that's what you have now is an athlete combined with that. And so it's really hard to score. But in those days, it's just, I mean, those games are all like 8-6, and nothing's impressive about the way the goals are scored. That's how Gretzky racked up all of his records. He's one of the greats, if not the greatest player of all time. I'm not disputing that. But the numbers are so inflated because defense and goaltending was just god-awful.
Yeah.
So no, the answer is no. That's the short answer.
Well, I would say there are very few sports where it's true. I mean, I think to some degree you can watch old college football games and understand that the body types have changed. But I mean, I can watch a Georgia game with Herschel Walker. If I'm watching or Oklahoma with the Boz or something, you can watch. The thing that amazes me on the SEC network, and I cannot believe they continue to show it, but the embarrassment of the South. Watching people wave rebel flags over and over again in the stands like it's just a thing over and over again at SEC games. I'm sitting there going, well, okay then. Well, reminder of just how recent that is.
For baseball, I think that's probably the best bet, right, is that you can watch an old baseball game because they don't have the radar guns up. So if it's too fast for you, it's too fast for you. But I wonder how much it's going to date. Let's say it's the year's 2025 and you're trying to watch a game from the 80s. Can you still do it? Because everybody's going to be throwing 100 now. So is everything just going to look like it's in slow motion from the mound?
I don't know. I'll say this. Whenever they do those anniversary specials and they'll put them online of any of the Pirates teams, because, you care about your team. Baseball feels like a regional sport these days. I go watch the 79 Pirates because I was 8 years old. But even 93 watching that team, I can watch those games. Braves, Pirates in the playoffs. Those are good. If you go back even further in the 80s, I can watch those old, George Brett Royals teams. I can watch a game of that era. And in some ways, you have a greater appreciation of pitching because they truly had to be pitchers. It's not, I'm just going to throw it past you. I've got to hit my spots. I got to set you up. Would Maddox survive today?
Would he get a look?
Well, let's just say he had made it and he had established himself. Could he be nearly as dominant as he was? I don't know. I mean, I assume so. It's not that long ago that he was still getting people out. His ability to kind of hit his spot every time is remarkable. And by all rights, anybody that's ever played with him said that he was the worst-looking best athlete they had ever been around.
I still see guys with great stuff and throw 93 that can really
pitch.
They can pitch.
Really
they can mess
pitch.
with hitters. So I think he'd stand a chance.
I miss guys like that. That's something baseball's missing. I did enjoy that, watching it. That's why, by the way, and I hate the Yankees, but watching CeCe Sabathia reinvent himself, and when guys do that, I appreciate that. I can say, okay, so you're just getting people out, guts, guile, and knowledge.
I think if Greg was anonymous and they didn't give him, 3 inches off the plate both ways, it's debatable. But if he got the calls the way he did in the 90s, the way people swing these days, he'd have 300 strikeouts and he wouldn't even be averaging 7 innings.
Yeah, but I always felt like he was a more in control and better pitcher that didn't need as much of those inches that you're describing as, say, Glavine did. Glavine needed those inches.
But once you get them and you use them, then you're truly unstoppable.
Then you are unstoppable indeed. Irashafel, WarChant.com next.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Me at Brookside.
Yuengling Golden Pilsner, a highly sessionable beer, golden in both name and color. Yuengling Golden Pilsner is the perfect balance of hop and malt character for crisp and smooth, thirst-quenching refreshment. Cheer for your garnet and gold with Yuengling Golden Pilsner. Yuengling, brewing good times for 190 years. Must be 21 or older. Please drink responsibly. A message from local beverage distributor Triangle Sales.
You know what's nice? You could drive to Whataburger right now if you wanted to. Yeah, you could hang a Louie, talk to Reggie at the counter, and get a freshly made 100% beef double meat Whataburger with melted cheese and fresh cut veggies on a 5-inch bun. It's just the delicious freedom you have living in the land where there's Whataburger. Of course, some people aren't in that land. I wonder what they're doing right now. Probably thinking about a road trip. Good thing it's so close you can taste it. Good thing there's Whataburger.
And now, the worst commercial ever. Say, Jan, as a fellow respected small business professional, I wonder, who do you use for commercial auto and business insurance?
Progressive, of course. They helped with a customized insurance solution for my busy florist company.
I'm so glad we had this chance encounter in this busy restaurant.
Yes, that fake conversation was brutal. Whereas commercial auto and business insurance through Progressive is anything but. Visit progressivecommercial.com to quote today. Insurance provided and serviced by Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. It's affiliated and third-party insurers.
Hendrick.
It's the one race that everyone wins. The first annual Dale Earnhardt Jr. Race to 500. Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC has to sell 500 cars now through April 30th. So start your engines, the gas, and save big. Shop our huge selection of Buick and GMC cars, trucks, and SUVs, and get the biggest savings of the year. Join the race that everyone wins. Visit either of our 2 Tallahassee locations or Dale Earnhardt Jr. BuickGMC.com. We are professional grade.
Time now for your Atlanta Braves Minute. Brought to you by Fonville, Lewis, Messer, and McConaughey. Personal injury law is all they do.
The Braves looking to win the series over Miami yesterday afternoon, hopped out to a 2-0 lead on Freddie Freeman's first home run of the year after the Marlins tied it in the second. Dansby Swanson a go-ahead home run in the fourth. But in the ninth inning, a pinch-hit home run from Curtis Granderson tied the game at 3, and the Braves needed to pull off another last-at-bat victory by loading the bases in the bottom of the ninth. Dansby Swanson stepping in.
Pitch on the way. In the air, down the left field line. This will win the ball game, and the Braves have done it. Dansby does it with a base hit, and they chase him up the first base line.
And that was how the homestand came to a close. A 5-1 stretch over the Chicago Cubs and Miami Marlins at SunTrust Park. And now the Braves head west to Denver, Colorado to take on the Colorado Rockies in a 3-game series. First pitched at 8:40 p.m. Eastern, 7:40 Central. And tonight's pitching matchup features Julio Teheran for the Braves and Kyle Freeland on the bump for the Colorado Rockies, who finished 4th in last year's Cy Young voting in the National League. We'll be on the air on the Braves Radio Network with our pregame show at 7:25, first pitch at 8:40. This has been your Atlanta Braves Radio Network Morning Update.
Fonville, Lewis, Messer, McConaughey sponsors Braves baseball so that all of you can enjoy the action. Ever since the days of Hank Aaron and Dale Murphy, we've been Tallahassee's home run hitting law firm. And because we don't get paid unless we win, we want to win every case as much as Chipper Jones wanted to win every game. So when you're injured, don't just trust any law firm to handle your case. Make the call to the bullpen for a trusted closer. To see our stats on the back of our baseball card, visit wrongfullyinjured.com. Fonville, Lewis, Messer, McConaughey. Personal injury law is all we do.
Driving every day from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. This is what you need to know. A champion will be crowned tonight. It's Virginia versus Texas Tech in the national title game. Both teams playing for their first ever championship. The calling card for both: great defense. Sportsbooks have the over-under for points at 117.5. However, having more weapons in crunch time should be a big plus for the underdog Red Raiders tonight, in the opinion of ESPN's Jay Williams.
The multiple players that Texas Tech have that can do things off the dribble. They can create their own shots. Texas Tech having Jarrett Culver, having guys like Matt Mooney who made big-time shots the other day, or Moretti can get into the cracks of the defense. I think those are guys, if the game comes down to the wire, they can go get their own. I think that's an advantage for Texas Tech down the stretch.
Texas Tech starting forward Tariq Owens, who sprained his ankle in the win over Michigan State, is expected to play. The Lightning open up as the big favorite to win the franchise's second Stanley Cup, 2-1 odds according to Westgate's Superbook. Tampa Bay won an NHL record-tying 62 regular season games this year. Second best odds to hoist Lord Stanley's Cup. The Flames and Golden Knights at 10-1. Hurricanes, Blue Jackets, Islanders seen as the longest shots, each at 30-1. The Stanley Cup playoffs open up on Wednesday night. NBA doesn't appear. Celtics guard Marcus Smart with a left oblique strain and forward Jason Tatum with a left shin contusion will play in the regular season finale tomorrow in Washington. Boston is locked into the 4th seed in the East, will play Indiana in the first round of the playoffs. Baseball, the struggling Giants with their second trade in less than a week. They've acquired first baseman Tyler Austin from the Twins in exchange for a prospect. 3-7 San Francisco, hoping that Austin can help its offense, which has scored only 25 runs in its first 10 games of this season. Last week, the Giants acquired outfielder Kevin Pillar from Toronto.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Hour number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Hello. Let's do what we always do on Mondays. Let's welcome in our good friend Irash Fell, warchant.com, the website which he works. It's always a pleasure. Hello, good sir. How are you?
I'm great, Jeff. How are you?
I'm good, man. I feel a little bit better about what I saw over the weekend. I went into the game, not willing to concede that anything that I saw would be, a game changer necessarily for this team to go from 5 wins to 10 or 11 wins or anything like that. But I also have said today I didn't go in jaded. I didn't go in cynical. I wanted to see where there's some players out there that could really help this team take a step forward. And that in the organization, those two things, just in terms of understanding where to line up, getting rid of some of the sillier penalties in terms of alignment and all that sort of stuff. I thought there was something to hang your hat on here. I thought they looked much better than the last time we saw them against the University of Florida. I thought there were some guys there that you could pencil in and say they're going to make a difference in areas of real concern for Florida State, in particular at linebacker. What were your overall thoughts?
Yeah, I wasn't, blown away, but I don't know if you ever can be, from a spring game. I don't think there's, like you said, there's nothing that you were going to see that was going to make you just think, I've got to totally reassess what I think about this team. But, I think some of the things you wanted to see on offense, I think you saw. It seemed like there was some purpose. It seemed like the quarterbacks and receivers and running backs had a good understanding of what they were trying to do and why they were trying to do it. It was hard to evaluate the offensive line, I think, because of just, a couple guys were out and you're splitting it up. And then also, I think, from a scheme standpoint, I don't know how much we were seeing on either side of the ball. It's probably very basic. But, in terms of the things you wanted to see, I thought there were some positives. If there was anything that I kind of came away from not feeling great about, probably two things. One was, I'd like to see James Blackman become more consistent of a passer on the underneath stuff and the intermediate stuff, and I didn't see that yet. And then also, I wanted to see something maybe from the defensive ends, and I really didn't see much there. So those are two areas that, you come away from thinking, okay, I think that there's improvement to be made. But in a lot of areas, I think that they at least met what you were hoping to see.
Yeah, I think that there's a couple areas of concern that you had concerns going into the spring game. You'll have concerns in the fall, and you probably will have concerns after the season is over. And that would be both tackles on offense. I don't know that that's going to be solved necessarily this year. I do think they're better on the interior. And then I would say a pass rush, which is what you're alluding to from the defensive ends. And I don't know what that's going to look like. Of course, Xavier Peters maybe could solve that, but I'm not real sure there. But having said that, Jaleel McRae at linebacker looks like a player. Amari Gaynor looks like he can help out an awful lot. You know how bad I thought the linebackers were a year ago. I haven't stopped beating that drum. They were just dreadful. I think you get better there. And I do think if you look at Adante Lucas, and I do think Bavion Johnson, and I think they got a chance to be better on the interior of the offensive line. And those two areas have got to be certainly better, maybe even much better if you want to sniff 8 or 9 wins. And I think we saw a glimpse of maybe the possibility that that's going to happen.
Yeah, I think you're right. I agree with you. On the interior of the offensive line, I think they're going to be solid. Really, both guard spots and the center position. Tackle, they've got a chance, depending on what happens with the Northern Illinois transfer.
Mm-hmm.
I get the sense from some of the comments that Kendall Browse made last week on the coaches show that sounds like they're still searching for some help on the offensive line. So and then Landon Dickerson, if he's healthy, can help out at one of the tackle spots. So I think there's some chances that line could be okay across the board. We'll have to see. But as far as the linebacker position, yeah, I mean it's been a long go of it since they've had any kind of depth. Really, it seemed like for 3 years there after Telvin Smith graduated, it seemed like there was about 3 years there where every year it was basically the same three guys going out every play. And it wasn't a very dynamic linebacker group. I mean, Matthew Thomas and Roderick Hoskins and that group just, they were, kind of average, and there was no competition. Now they have real competition at that spot, so I think that's a positive. Really, the most interesting thing I'm curious about going into preseason will be what do they do with all these DBs, because you've got a lot of guys that have started, a lot of guys that have played a lot. You're moving Levante Taylor to safety. You've got Akeem Dent, who I think is going to be a cornerback, but they're trying to get him on the field at safety. You've got some of these young guys. You're moving Jaden Lars-Woodby back to safety. So that's, to me, Cyrus Fagan, I think, has had a good spring. So I'm curious who all is going to get on the field and in what combinations at defensive back, because they got a lot of options at that position.
It's a good problem to have, though, right? I mean, you want a lot of options, and you want competition to be at its peak, and so I think that's going to happen now when we get into the fall. Something that I think we all would say had to happen if you're going to have any hope at all to take a big step forward and begin to see this thing get turned around is the coaching changes that were made in the offseason. You needed to see evidence that what they were doing in terms of their instruction, in terms of install, you needed to see that they were on the same page. You needed to see that the kids were understanding and executing. You needed to see and hear from those kids as to what they've learned and what they believe. And I think we've seen that. I mean, if that's the one thing, I know, Ira, you've written about it, I think on warchant.com. Some of these quotes seem to suggest that the players really like Kendall Briles, and they really like Dugans, and they really like what Clements has done. I think they've bought in. I think that aspect is true.
Yeah, I do too. And it's we'll have to see how long it lasts. If you go into the season and you're not having success early in the season, especially that Boise State game, then you could see guys start to question. But I think players can tell. I've often said that I don't know that players are a great barometer for whether or not a team is well coached or not, because a lot of times I don't know that a player knows the whole big picture. They know their position more than they do the whole picture. But I think they can tell, just like any of us can tell, if you get a new ball and you ask him questions and maybe the answers aren't exactly as they need to be, or you start wondering, hey, does this guy really understand this at the level he should to be coaching at this school? And I think that's something that, you look at this group, I think that they seem to believe in what these guys are selling. And also, I think that, the part of it's resume, but it's a part of it's also how you act, how you answer questions. And I think from Bavion Johnson to, DJ Matthews, these are a couple of these guys that haven't really seemed to, I'm not going to say not buy in, but haven't connected with the coaching staffs in the past. They all seem to be really on board with this group.
And you would think that at least as it, applies to Briles and Clements, that would be the case. They've spent so much time together executing an offense that you would hope that would be something that paid immediate dividends, and it appears to have done so. But also, it's really cool to watch these guys give max effort out on the edges when in the screen game, in the bubble game, because that's the kind of guy Ron Dugans is, and Dugans is going to come in here and demand max effort, and his enthusiasm alone should be infectious. But there's a guy that did block, and certainly we saw Miami's receivers block, and I think right away we're seeing him make an impact on this receiving core too.
Yeah, I think so, and that was really lacking in a big way last year.
Yeah.
Like Lawrence Doss, he was a physical player, but for whatever reason, it never seemed to be that position group played all that well, especially away from the ball. And I think that I thought, and you also saw it seemed like they had some, and again, it's just a spring game, so we'll see. But it just seemed like they had more double teams out on the edges. They seemed to take better angles on their blocks. Everything just seemed to be just with more purpose. It wasn't just, hey, I'm supposed to be out here and block this guy. If I block him, great. If I don't block him, oh well. I mean, it seemed to be there was a lot more purpose and a lot more efficiency with what they were doing at receiver. And I think, as you said, I think Clements, that offensive line, I didn't, watching the offensive line and the defensive line in that game, it was kind of hard to judge.
Sure.
You get a lot of guys who aren't probably going to play this season, but you didn't see any of the complete whiffs. You didn't see just the total mental breakdowns where two guys would block one and somebody else would be running free. It seemed like that group seemed to be sharper, really both of those positions, receiver and offensive line. And if you think back to last year, I mean, there were so many instances where there were just complete breakdowns at both positions.
Yeah, I think that folks walked into that stadium, those that showed up, thought, I got to see some semblance of organization, some semblance that this is going to be a smoother run operation, that we're going to have a clue with what we're doing. It's one thing not to be able to execute a plan because you don't have good enough players. It's a whole nother to look like you have no plan. And so I think certainly this is a sign that they're going to be cohesive. They may not be good enough against the better teams that they face until they're able to see a greater influx of high-end recruits to execute it. But at least it looks like they're taking steps forwards to having a real plan.
Yeah, and I'm I'm really eager to see what we can see in the preseason, and then certainly when we get into the games, because there's a lot of things we didn't get to see. They didn't run the ball very much. We didn't get to see some of the any kind of gadget plays or trick plays. I guess they had a one trick play limit per half. It looked like there was one play where maybe they were going to try to run a double pass and it didn't materialize. But I'm not. You can't gimmick your way to success,
right?
But I do think some more creativity. And the other, I think the one big thing, and it wasn't a surprise because we had heard he'd been playing well, but Kalen Layburn, that kid got a chance to be really electric. And I know everybody got nervous when he got a little bit banged up, and then he went back in the second half. But you can just tell he's a guy, Cam Akers may end up being the starter, may end up finishing with more carries and may be more of the workhorse. But Layburn, to me, is just, he's as dynamic as a guy that they've had in the backfield in a while.
It's exciting to see him come along so quickly, and I, like you, get pumped up just at the idea of what he can do to contribute to this offense. All right, before I let you go, it's a good thing J.C. Flowers is on the baseball team, because otherwise there wouldn't be anything to be excited about. They lose another series, this time to Miami. At least they get a win in the final game there of the series. That's good to salvage something after being blanked in each of the first two games. I won't let we're not going to prattle on forever about this team, but I will ask you, would you allow, and just a personal opinion, because I watched it over the weekend, Ira, and I'm not trying to pick on the kid, but I watched Elijah Cabell strike out 8 times over the weekend, go 0 for 10, and really never touch a baseball. Would you let him continue to play, or would you sit him and then are they going to beat Florida tomorrow?
Wow. Man, it would be a nice story in a season with not many nice stories for them to beat Florida. I think it meant a lot to Mike Martin. We went over and spoke to him today. I think it meant a lot to him to walk out of Coral Gables with a win in the last game, even though they played really poorly the first couple of games of that series. So I know, it would mean a whole lot to him to beat Florida tomorrow night. Also, what it would mean for the team, because they need to get back on track. But he's really struggled. Cabela's really struggled at the plate, but it's not like he's alone.
No, but my man struck out 5 times in one game. It's remarkable to watch. Not even coming close to making contact.
Well, and there was one I was listening on the radio. I think it was on Friday. It was either on Friday or Saturday. I was in the car listening to the radio, and it sounded like he struck out on the 3rd strike, but the umpire didn't call it a strike, so he got another chance, but then still struck out on the next pitch. He's determined to strike out whether the umpire wanted to do it or not. So, yeah, maybe some time off would help him. But I don't get the sense from 11 today that's going to happen anytime soon. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, they have so many. They give away so many outs a game. It's unbelievable. It's so weird because it has been the exact opposite of the MO of this team for several years. It's really incredible.
Well, Salvatore is playing really well. I'll say that. And then, and you know what? It was also nice to see somebody on the other team have a complete breakdown in the form of Zamora yesterday, throwing that ball over the lot. But hold your breath. We'll see if they can get it turned around. They got an RPI in the hundreds. They've got a long way to go. It could be this week, though, that it all turns around with Florida or Clemson. It could also be this week that buries them. We shall see. Always a pleasure, brother. Talk to you later.
All right, Jeff. We'll see you.
All right, take care. Yeah, I don't know what the answer is. I know I'm sounding overly harsh, but Jesus. 5 strikeouts. I know we live in an era where people just strike out and don't care.
That's not what you do. That's not what you do. That's not what you do.
I think if I were Elijah Cabell, I'd have just bunted on the first pitch.
That's not what you do.
That's 4.
That's not what you do.
I just would have bunted right back to the pitcher. I got no chance swinging it. I'll just bunt it. Elijah, we don't need our left fielder out here bunting.
Maybe you scare him, and the follow through, you let go of the bat, and it goes towards the mound. Whoa! Excuse me.
Swing left-handed. Do something. We got to do something here.
It's the platinum sombrero, right?
5 strikeouts. I felt bad. I
hear you. I'm not an old school guy. I get striking out as kind of the thing these days, but I can't do 5.
I can't do 5. I don't think he'd have been out there to get the 5th. I'd have grabbed the bullpen catcher. I can go out there and strike out in 4 pitches, 3 pitches. I mean, what do we?
When you get the golden sombrero, you get the hook.
Yeah, we get. Ooh, I'm just worried about what it's going to do to you, like permanently.
So what you're telling me is it wasn't 5 foul tips into the glove?
No, my man. No. No clue. Jeff Cameron Show 97.9 ESPN Radio.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Moments you'll never forget. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey sponsors Braves baseball so that all of you can enjoy the action. Ever since the days of Hank Aaron and Dale Murphy, we've been Tallahassee's home run hitting law firm. And because we don't get paid unless we win, we want to win every case as much as Chipper Jones wanted to win every game. So when you're injured, don't just trust any law firm to handle your case. Make the call to the bullpen for a trusted closer. To see our stats on the back of our baseball card, visit wrongfullyinjured.com. Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey. Personal injury law is all we do.
Hendrick. Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC has to sell 500 cars now through April 30th. Shop our huge selection and get the biggest savings of the year. Everyone wins. Visit Dale Earnhardt Jr. BuickGMC.com. We are professional grade.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
It's been many months since Hurricane Michael devastated our area. Many people are still dealing with the damages and finding it hard to get a local contractor to contact them. Are you struggling with getting assistance to fix your damages? Are you feeling like your insurance company is not being fair? If your answer is yes to any of these questions, we can help. My name is Travis, owner of T-Spark Enterprises, and I'm asking you to give us a call today for your free consultation. Let my company guide you through the process to get your home back to normal.
Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
License number CCC 1331204.
Hey guys, good news. The expensive little blue pill is now generic, which means you can get the prescription medication to treat ED at affordable prices. And now get your first month's supply for just $5 at 4hims.com/deliver. Hims connects you with real doctors online who can prescribe the medication. And a pharmacy sends it right to your door. So easy. To get your first order for just $5, you need to go to 4hims.com/deliver. That's 4hims.com/deliver.
Prescription products require an online physician consultation and are only available if the physician determines a prescription is appropriate. See website for full details.
Seminole headlines.
Zach writes, what's your favorite guilty pleasure song? Oh, I know what mine is. I thought about it because for years I've been kind of ashamed of this. I like the song I Need to Know by Mark Anthony. The
I don't
dude
know
that
that
was
one.
married to J-Lo.
I know who he is.
Yeah,
I don't know the song.
It was a huge hit.
I need to know that one. Is that how it goes? Ira?
Tell me, pretty baby, I need to know. You know that?
I really don't. I'm not being. I'm
when
not
I
playing.
play, you never know a damn thing.
The time where I feel like probably most vulnerable or dumb is like I'll be driving and like listening to like some music on the car and like, you know, it's a good song and kind of jamming to it. And then another song comes on, you can just sing like you just start singing along without really even thinking about it.
And you're like, what am I doing?
And then you get to a red light and you look over and realize your window's down and you're
I did that with in college. You remember Toy Soldiers by Martika?
I
Step
do.
by step,
Yes,
heart
it's
left,
a terrible
right,
song.
left.
Yeah, sure.
We all. So I had my car window down, not even
And you were
realizing.
cranking it.
Man, I was singing as loud as I could,
Feeling it.
And I look over, and it's a car full of college girls watching me belt by myself. Probably Crystal in my lap. Crystal,
no,
Crystal,
yeah.
the
I was gonna
fast
say,
food place,
what kind
not
of Crystal?
or the girl.
A stripper?
Yeah, no,
Crystal meth?
yeah.
What are we doing
Crystal,
here?
yeah, none of those were in my lap.
Yeah, none of
because
those.
I was in college. It was just the
well, that's when
bag
they
of,
might have been.
No, not with me.
No, okay.
Yeah, and I look over, and they're just all dying laughing because I'm singing Toy Soldier by Martika. I would say now, I think Safety Dance. I love that song.
I like that song.
Man, that song
That's
just every
it's
time
not really
you,
a guilty pleasure. It's
sure
just,
it is.
Yeah,
it's a
just
goofy.
the 80s,
It's a
kinda
goofy '80s
yeah,
song.
It's all right.
And Ira's whole palette's not the right word, but
It's
he's
whole
a
collection.
he's a Nickelback
right,
fan, so that's all
he
guilty.
can't even say anything. Anything he says is he legitimately likes, even though it's crap.
It's an overstatement.
Yeah,
to
you
say
can't
fan.
you can't have a guilty pleasure.
No, he just
It's not
likes
possible.
nothing but garbage. So there you go. Jeff, I'm a big fan of Bon Jovi. There's any number of songs.
People like Bon Jovi. Yeah,
I like Britney Spears too, Corey.
Yeah, they do.
Tuesday night from 5 to 7 p.m. on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Man Cave Monday. Brought to you by Tallahassee Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Right on the corner and always right on the price. Check out the latest 2019 inventory at TallahasseeDCJ.com today.
We'll be at Bumpa's for the draft party. That should be fun. You know, we're not far away, buddy. We're not far away from the NFL draft.
It's pretty crazy.
Well, I know tonight's championship game is on the docket for most of us, coupled with what we've got with the NHL playoffs starting, and, of course, this week with Florida State baseball and so many things. The spring game just happening over the weekend. But I don't want it to get lost in the shuffle. We're that close to the NFL draft.
It feels like less of a headache this year for Tampa. There's less moving parts,
Pretty
right?
straightforward,
You're going
right?
to get a good defensive player unless you trade back. And at that point, you only have about real time, whatever that is, half an hour to get nervous about things. But heading into the draft, we're not trading before the actual first round starts. So it feels okay to me.
One thing I will say, there's a ton of defensive talent here. I'm still interested. I mean, I laugh at it. I scoff at it. I point fingers and laugh at the people who do it. I understand it. Clicks are a big deal. Clickbaity headlines matter. I got you. That's what happens. I mean, they don't matter, but they matter to the world of the internet where you're, obviously mining for clicks. But I think it's interesting that, quote unquote, the story of the quarterbacks is that Dwayne Haskins continues to sink in this draft. Really? He's the only one that is in this draft that I thought, he's got the potential to be really good. The rest of those guys, none of them. Not a one. Not Daniel. None of them.
So I was listening to this here station on Saturday morning, and if you didn't know, on Saturday mornings, Dari and Mel have a show. That's right, Mel Kiper has a show. And so I was locked in for that, as I always set the dial to listen to Dari and Mel. And Mel was talking about Dwayne Haskins and the Giants, and he said, from what I'm hearing, the Giants are cooling on Haskins. Oh, really?
Yeah, really.
Okay.
If I'm a Giants fan, I'm pissed to hear that if it's true. Probably not true.
Probably not.
Anything said about a quarterback right now by a team to a talking head is going to be a lie. I mean, why?
He did say that, too.
Okay, well, good.
He had a quick anecdote, too. He said that John Dorsey last year for the Browns, they're good friends, apparently. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but he said they are. And he said John Dorsey told Mel Kiper weeks out of the draft, I'm not telling you. We got the first pick, so I know it doesn't matter. We could, declare to the world what we're doing, but I'm just not going to tell you. And he said, so I'm leery when I get information this late in the process because I've got to weigh it and figure it out. So he had the caveat on front of it, but the scuttlebutt is that the Giants are cooling on Dwayne Haskins.
I just don't think – I mean, that's a tough position to be in. We make fun of those guys because of we draft analysis, quote unquote, and we have the whole liner and everything about it because of the wild inconsistencies and the made-up storylines and the fake fake trades and all the stuff that goes on. But I do feel for any of those guys who that is their job, and because they are who they are, the most prominent of the talking heads covering the draft and writing about the draft and the build-up to it, anything leaked to them at this point is just about jockeying for position. I mean, you'll hear the scenarios now that Josh Rosen's going to get traded to Washington and all these other things about, who's going to go where and what Arizona does with the pick. This quarterback's falling, this quarterback's rising. This is a terrible quarterback draft. And so it's hard. There is no, hey, this is, without question, these are the two guys. Everybody else, it could be debated. There's really nobody that anybody's in love with in this draft.
I think if you're an agent in this draft, though, this is really hard. This is going to be a nerve-wracking night, whereas fans of the top 10 teams say, all right, well, give me Quinnen Williams or give me Bosa or give me Sweat or, White or give me Devin Bush. Whatever. They don't care. They're like, I'm going to get a good defensive player, whatever it is, fine. For agents, though, I mean, there really isn't a consensus about what defensive player, once you get past 3 or 4, like what defensive player comes off the board next. So you got to sweat it out in the green room or the living room of your client. And then secondly, I think because there's such a dearth of quarterback play and then also some other positions, there's a couple of good tight ends for the first round, but I mean receiver, a couple of running backs. You may have some people taken way, way, way too early based on need. I think there's oddly a lot of volatility in this first round to hear some weird picks while the bulk of it is all going to be defensive players.
The first weird pick that I think is going to happen, and the more I read his quotes, is Arizona taking Kyler Murray. That'll be the worst, in my opinion, that'll be the first weird pick, given that they just had Josh Rosen a year ago and gave him zero opportunity to succeed. So, by the way, if I'm a guy who needs a quarterback, provided I don't find out something crazy about the kid, like the players hate him, which has been rumored, that he doesn't like football, which is a distinct possibility.
Ooh, that's it.
I mean, that's a distinct possibility. I'm talking about Josh Rosen.
Oh.
So if I find out that the players hate him in the locker room and or he hates football, then obviously I'd cool on him. But if you mean to tell me that Cliff Kingsbury's nuts about Kyler Murray, and they're willing to get rid of Josh Rosen, and they don't really have leverage at this point because everybody knows you want Kyler Murray, if I'm the Giants, I'll take Josh Rosen. Yeah, I'll make a trade with you. I'll do that. Or anybody else that needs one, because I don't think we saw a thing from him last year that could tell you one way or the other. I mean, I would have to find out about the locker room scenario. But Cliff Kingsbury, quote unquote, about Kyler Murray when asked what they like about him, you have a quarterback. You just drafted a year ago. This has to mean that this guy is gone, doesn't it? It has to. First of all, to even quote, to even answer the question, he goes, well, I guess it's more about what don't you like about him. When you watch him play, he runs, he throws well, he's a competitor. He's one of the best dual-threat quarterbacks to ever play the game. Are you insane, sir?
He could really want to trade the pick or, drum up interest.
I suppose, but he clearly seems to really love Kyler Murray in a way that's uncomfortable.
Well,
so, okay.
Also, according to the legendary Darian Mel, Saturday mornings here on 97.9 ESPN Radio, the Washington Redskins might be interested in Mr. Rosen. They might be kicking the tires.
Right. There's a trade that could go to Washington without – okay, that makes some sense. I mean, you're going to get a first-rounder, I think. I know people keep talking about third round. I think you get a first-rounder.
The good news is if Murray's taken number 1 overall – it's like a few years ago.
It's almost slot at that point. The Bucs are going to get Devin White if they want him. They're going to get.
You get a better player. All the options are better. It's like when O.J. Howard fell to us. You're like, oh my God, one of these Alabama players is going to be there.
So right off the bat, this would be a very simple process because San Francisco would take Nick Bosa, which they should, which is who Arizona should take, but they won't apparently. So you'd take Bosa. It looks like the Jets would take Josh Allen, right? Because they're not taking a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So then you would go with Oakland, and if Kyler Murray's off the board, well, then Oakland's not taking a quarterback. We don't think they could trade down, or they could go after one.
Quinnen Williams there,
one of the edge rushers as well. Yeah, you got that, and then we'll get Devin White. The Giants at that point could either take quarterback, or they could take Quinnen Williams if he's still there, or they could take the end out of Michigan.
The Giants are selecting where?
6th.
Okay,
right after us.
Yeah, we get screwed there. Okay.
And then it's the Jags. It will probably take an offensive lineman. So, I mean, it really does kind of fall into order if Arizona does that.
If Murray goes, Murray goes 1. Then if there isn't, then or if he doesn't, then well, we might have to go to Plan B. It may be that White's off the board. I don't know. I mean, Oakland could do anything. Oakland is the wild card because they're nuts and they got 3 first-round picks.
All I know is nothing could happen in this draft for the Bucs that would disappoint me more than what happened a year ago with my offensive lineman right there, tantalizingly so.
You know what really was terrible about that? When we were at Bumpa's, there was the one TV in the corner that gave you a 2-second heads up of what was going to happen.
Well, when Indianapolis was on the clock and everything, I went, okay, well, we knew they wanted offensive
linemen. When he
linemen.
said it, but then everybody was watching a different one, and I was like Johnny Cash. I bowed my head, I cried because I knew this poor man was about to be officially hurt, even though you knew it.
Well,
the words were about to be spoken.
We were so close, but I did. I appreciated you hanging your head. You hung your head. You knew. I was ready to go home at that point.
Baby, it's all I got.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Matched up against an old friend, John Tortorella and the Columbus Blue Jackets, by way of the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference, will have the honors of trying to take down the best team in the regular season starting Wednesday night at Amalie Arena. Tampa Bay finished 3-0 against Columbus during the regular season, outscoring the Blue Jackets 17-3. Tortorella was asked after the team's last regular season game about starting a new season on Wednesday.
We win, 7 out of our last 8. Wipe that clean, get into a philosophy of how we have to play against Tampa, because we do have to make some adjustments to our game. We'll start getting to work on that on Monday with the guys.
By the way, games 1 through 4 have a start time at 7 o'clock. With your Lighting Report, I'm Greg Linnelli.
At Township and College Town, for the table, by the people is not just lip service, it's their mantra. Tallahassee's largest beer hall offers drafts served in steins and a unique twist on upscale pub fare. Just walk up and order for the table and grab a seat by the people. Some you may not even know. If you're looking for a more intimate gathering, Township offers the Garden, a unique setting to Tallahassee complete with outdoor fireplace and a retractable awning. Oh, and let's not forget the 32 taps and private bar. Book it for your next party or company event. Township Tallahassee, 619 Woodward Avenue in Collegetown.
What's up, Eddie?
What's up, Jeff?
You know, buddy, that I like archaeology, right?
Yeah. I'm quite an anarchist myself.
Right. Well, anyhow, do you know what they find the world over when they excavate? You know the item they find the most of?
I don't know, rocks?
Freaking bowls.
Bowls?
Bowls everywhere. In Rome proper, right? Bowls upon bowls upon bowls.
That's very interesting.
What's the high school over in Jacksonville, the one with all the good football players?
Bowls?
Right.
What are you getting at here, Jeff?
Mo used what to cut his hair?
I don't know, Jeff. What is a bowl?
Boom. A bowl indeed.
Hey, that gives me an idea.
Really?
We should have bowls here at Gordo's. We can do all kinds of bowls. We can do chicken bowls, fish bowls. We can do steak bowls, pork bowls, veggie bowls. Brilliant. I'm a genius. Jeff? Hey, Jeff.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan. Kraft Nissan has $5,000 off all Altimas in stock with over 75 to choose from. Plus, 0% for 36 months, 2.9% for 60 months, or 3.9% for 72 months. You get both $5,000 off and the special interest rate of your choice. Camry, Accord, Sonata, and Fusion, can't touch that. And at Kraft Nissan, you can lease the 2019 Altima for $339 a month total payment. That's $339 per month with no money down. Your payment includes tax. This is a true sign and drive. Leave your checkbook at home. All you need is your pen, and you drive home in a new 2019 Altima for $339. And we even make your first payment. Don't want to lease? Prices start at just $19,995, and you get 0% interest. It's Nissan's March corporate year-end at Kraft Nissan, and we're all about Altima. With $5,000 off all Altimas, and you get 0% interest. You get both. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco. Prices include dealer preparation charge, $339 payment for 36 months through NMAC with approved credit.
Springtime means yard work and lots of it. So when it's time to replace the battery in your riding lawnmower or tractor, let O'Reilly Auto Parts help. The professional parts people will help you find just the right Superstart lawn and garden battery to make sure your mower starts over and over again. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Time now for your Atlanta Braves Minute. Brought to you by Fonville, Lewis, Messer, and McConaughey. Personal injury law is all they do.
The Braves looking to win the series over Miami yesterday afternoon, hopped out to a 2-0 lead on Freddie Freeman's first home run of the year after the Marlins tied it in the second. Dansby Swanson a go-ahead home run in the fourth. But in the ninth inning, a pinch hit home run from Curtis Granderson tied the game at 3, and the Braves needed to pull off another last at-bat victory by loading the bases in the bottom of the ninth. Dansby Swanson stepping in.
Pitch on the way. In the air, down the left field line. This will win the ball game, and the Braves have done it. Dansby does it with a base hit, and they chase him up the first base line.
And that was how the homestand came to a close. A 5-1 stretch over the Chicago Cubs and Miami Marlins at SunTrust Park. And now the Braves head west to Denver, Colorado to take on the Colorado Rockies in a 3-game series. First pitched at 8:40 p.m. Eastern, 7:40 Central. And tonight's pitching matchup features Julio Teheran for the Braves and Kyle Freeland on the bump for the Colorado Rockies, who finished 4th in last year's Cy Young voting in the National League.
Fonville, Lewis, Messer, McConaughey sponsors Braves baseball so that all of you can enjoy the action. Ever since the days of Hank Aaron and Dale Murphy, we've been Tallahassee's home run hitting law firm. And because we don't get paid unless we win, we want to win every case as much as Chipper Jones wanted to win every game. So when you're injured, don't just trust any law firm to handle your case. Make the call to the bullpen for a trusted closer. To see our stats on the back of our baseball card, visit wrongfullyinjured.com. Fonville, Lewis, Messer, McConaughey. Personal injury law is all we do.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Tallahassee Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Right on the corner and always right on the price. Check out the latest 2019 inventory at TallahasseeDCJ.com today.
Rapid fire during Masters Week, real quick. It's a near record low field. Corey Connors won Sunday, thus qualifying for the Valero. He won the Valero Texas Open. How about this? How cool is that, man, to win the Valero Open and qualify because of it for the Masters?
Got to change your flight and
that changes
travel
everything.
arrangements. Yeah.
But he finalizes the field of qualified players, and that field grand total, 87. This year's field matches last year's qualifying list of 87 players, which was the smallest in 2 decades. The Masters hasn't broken 100 since 1966. The 2011 Masters field came the closest, had 99 qualifiers. So small field, my friend, and a fairly predictable one, according to the experts, at least in terms of those that have a chance at actually winning it. It's remarkable. The amount of players that you would say have an actual chance and doesn't require some out-of-body experience where a guy's playing over his head is pretty slim.
So I just pulled up the Valero, Texas leaderboard because I knew Spieth was in contention earlier in the week.
He fell on Sunday.
My God.
My man Lucas Glover rose up, though.
13 shots off the lead there, Jordan, at the end of the weekend.
After going into the weekend with a lead.
We'll see. It's all about that putter. That's the difference for him. He used to be one of the world's greatest putters. Now he's cross-handed, and he misses 3-footers. So if he can fight those demons, then he's got a chance.
Is it 2015? If it's 2015, he had one of the greatest single seasons in the history of golf putting. Before or since?
It didn't matter. Left to right, right to left, 25 feet, 45 feet. I mean, it was always around the hole or in the hole. And right now, I think he's more likely, it feels like Phil, but he's more likely to make a 12-footer than a 3.5-footer. And if that's the way you're approaching Augusta, ooh, buddy, sometimes that place can inspire confidence just because of, all the good memories. Well, I don't know. That is a volatile pick if you're betting on Jordan this week.
The percentages that gamblers will look at, you start with the top 16 in the world rankings since they've been doing the world rankings. The winner has come out of that group at an alarming clip for golf. I mean, it's hard to predict. It's a huge field. Somebody gets hot and makes a bunch. Mike Weir won. People have won that you're like, Charles Schwartzel won. It happens. But percentage-wise, I think it was over 50% since the world rankings came into be. The top, somebody in the top 16 won. That course is said to bring, first of all, it brings the best players into the field, and it brings the best out of the best players in the field, typically speaking. So you're gonna grab guys out of that top 16, and even within that group, you're gonna look at guys who are obviously in form. Who's playing well. And it's fascinating. You listen to guys like Brandel Chambly and other analysts talk about how many putts you have to make and strokes gained against the field with your putter in order to give yourself a chance. This should be Justin Rose's last best chance because he is now on the wrong side of the age curve. So he's 38. It's going to start. His results are about to regress. So if you're starting to put a field together, you look at all things. You look at age, you look at your putts, you look at guys that, as we talked about last week, can hit kind of a cut fade off a hook lie, and those who can draw it off the tee if you're right-handed. If Tiger's drawing it off the tee, he gives himself a chance. You're right, par 5 scoring with him. He's said to have had an incredible practice round today.
Okay.
You're rooting for it, right? You're rooting for it. Phil could be – there's been one winner of a major – over the age of 43 in the last 20-something years. And so Phil Mickelson could be that guy. He could be the oldest to win a major. He's, 48, 49 now. He could do that. It sets up for him. It's the kind of course that does if he's making putts.
Yeah, Freddie was hitting those ages not too long ago and was on the first page of the leaderboard on Saturday and Sunday. So that would not be stunning. It would not be a shocking development. And this is also a different day and age for athleticism in the game of golf. Now, Phil isn't the first person you'd circle when you talk about athleticism.
But his clubhead speed has increased.
But the clubhead speed has increased, and he's more athletic now than I think he was in his heyday, quote unquote. If you're just talking about prime years, if you're looking at age, he looks way better than he did when he won the second time.
Yeah.
At Augusta, for example, he was quite pudgy then, but now he gets around on the ball pretty good. So it wouldn't shock me if he's on the first page, if Tiger's on the first page. I just got done making fun of Spieth. It wouldn't surprise me if Jordan's on the first page. This has a chance to be another classic.
An all-time great leaderboard, usually. It usually is. It's one of the reasons we're so enthralled. And listen, Rory, we keep forgetting, he just needs this for the career Grand Slam. This is it for him.
He's playing incredible golf right now, too.
Yeah, and it may not matter, right? Because here's the deal. You wouldn't pick him because of the putter. You got to be able to putt it around here. So maybe you wouldn't take him because that's not what he is. But if he's hitting it that close to the hole, yeah.
He can literally ball strike his way into the final pairing on Saturday or Sunday.
He did the last year, right?
But then it's about the closing. Well, he did with the Spieth one year. Remember, we thought we were going to get a 36-hole throwdown between the number one player in the world and then Jordan Spieth, who has won some majors and now wants to take over the crown of being the best player in the world. And he thought, okay, here we go. This is what we were waiting for. Rory to fight back after Jordan wins a couple and really looks like the best player. And then Rory crumbled on the weekend. They played toe-to-toe, and Rory's putter got so much in his head he couldn't hit the ball anymore. That's the unfortunate thing about Rory is he's a ticking time bomb. But if that bomb never goes off, he could win by 4 or 5 this weekend.
Think about 2011. If Rory McIlroy wins in 2011, which he should have, that's still one of the saddest things I've ever seen on a Sunday, just because he's an eminently likable fellow. Hitting it in places where, I mean, nobody had ever seen those houses. There were things that were going on there where you're going, what in the world? Remember he was almost crying on his driver?
He's really likable because he's a well-adjusted dude in a game of country club kids. You know, like he kind of gets it. He gets what life is about. It's not all about golf. It's not all about the sponsorships. He seems to have struck a pretty good balance of on the course and off the course.
3 straight top 10s at Augusta. You know what else has happened in 6 of those last 7 Masters that he's played in? He's had a round of 77 or higher. And yet he still finishes. It tells you. But that really worries me. Because
Who's your pick on a Monday? Who do you like?
Justin Rose.
Same.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think really all signs point to him. But as much as you can have a singular golfer that you circle.
I mean, Bubba Watson could rise up and win this thing by 3.
Because this course suits him better than any course in the world.
Right.
And if he is making anything from a putting standpoint, he will win. It pays to be a lefty here and to have as much curve on your shots as he has.
I know everybody talks about Amen Corner, and that's, it's trademarked, obviously, and that's the thing that we get to watch on Thursday before it actually comes on TV. You get to go online and watch all that stuff. But to me, there's no better sequence, and I understand 13 is a part of Amen Corner, but 13 through 16. Because you get the 2 par 5s in the back 9 where you can rocket up the leaderboard with a couple of eagles if you just manage to strike the ball well from the fairway for your second shot in. And then 16, the hole placement, at least one day on the weekend, but usually both, gives you an opportunity to put that ball within 3-4 feet. And so you can go 4 or 5 under without breaking a sweat in that stretch. And then everything on the grounds. I mean, you could feel it. The air changes. So that's, to me, the best thing to watch. And on the front 9, it's number 2 because you have, on the weekend, when they put that hole placement all the way on the right side of the green,
right side of the green,
chance for a double eagle. Like, was it Oosthuizen, I think, is the most recent to do it? But you can start that ball about like 120 feet to the left of the hole, and it just releases down the hill. And it's like, how close is this going to be? This is the best week of the year for golf.
I marvel when you are talking about a guy like Rory who just needs this to close it out, and his desire is there to do that because of the prestige of the tournament, and it's the one that's missing, but also just the career Grand Slam. I mean, it sets you apart. And, they've been playing golf forever, and you enter the realm of hallowed ground, to say the least. But then also, so your mindset there, I mean, he has never shied away from the fact that he wants to win there and that he knows he had it in 2011, and he shot an 80. I mean, he went haywire. But he's had 2016, he finished top 10, and he had a 77 on a Saturday. I mean, Jesus.
How
man.
good are you?
Yeah. In 2015, he finished tied for 4th, and he had good weekends. He shot in the 60s on the weekend, but he ended up losing. That's the year it played low. He was 12 under. He had a 77 in round 2 in 2014, finished tied for 8th. I'm looking back at his stats right now. This isn't all from memory. I'm not going to try to take credit for that. He had a top 25 finish when he threw up a 79. That was in 2013. 2012, he had a 77 out there, and he was terrible that year. 2011, top 15, threw up an 80.
That's who this guy is. It's the time bomb. If it never goes off, you've got no chance.
Well, if it never goes off, he is what he is at the British, where we watch that montage of every shot that he hit on a Sunday, and it's still one of the greatest things you've ever seen. Remember that? Just remember somebody pieced it together for 30 seconds. It's every shot he hit.
It's like
it's just they're all pure.
It's like an all-time great 3-point shooter, and if he misses a free throw, it sends him haywire. That's what it's like, because the shot making, he is very much a momentum player. I mean, when he won Bay Hill, not this most recent time. No, he didn't win this year, so it was 2 years ago. I mean, he's chipping in. He's putting it to 2 feet from 180 away.
He was loving it, yeah.
He's hitting it 360 down the middle of the fairway, and he's not Dustin Johnson's size. I mean, he
hits it better than anybody. Yeah, he hits it better than anybody when he's hitting it well. I mean, he's insane. Nobody drives the ball better than him when he's right. You know what's weird? I didn't realize this, but there's 2 stats, and I'm starting to learn this more and more the more I read and the more I do the show with Trey and the more I get involved in this. But, 3-putt avoidance is a big stat, huge stat. And the winners have typically been able to avoid double bogey. And one of the things that does is it shows you that you have great imagination around the green because you put yourself in bad spots and you find a way to get up and down sometimes for bogey, So I was wondering, why hasn't Dustin Johnson won this event? I mean, he is obscenely talented, probably more talented than almost anybody on tour, And I found out through reading that it's because he can't avoid double bogeys at Augusta. He has had a couple of them seemingly somewhere along the way in the weekend where he double bogeys hole.
Well, that's why the year that he slipped in
slipped down the steps.
Yeah, he slipped down the steps in his cabin.
That was a toughie.
That was a toughie because he was playing at such a rate that you thought he could probably overcome whatever deficiencies he has in terms of matching up with Augusta National. That he could still win this thing and maybe win it handily. But I just feel like every other year, I felt that year before he slipped that, okay, he's the favorite. I don't feel like...
Would you love to know what happened? Wouldn't we all?
If you give me, a chance to draft 8 rounds and it's just you and me doing a snake draft or whatever, I'd never pick him. Like, you can have him. If it's about winners only and I've got to pick a winner and I've got 8 chances at it, 16 total players, we're in a 2-man draft, I'm not picking Dustin. I don't think he's got a chance on this course.
So we would both take Justin Rose. We would both take Rory McIlroy. We would both take Tiger Woods. We would both take, I would guess, Paul Casey.
Yes.
We would both take...
Yeah, how about England and Northern Ireland this time around?
Yeah.
There'd be a lot of red and white on the board.
Other players who it suits perfectly.
Bubba, for sure.
Bubba, who it suits perfectly. Phil, outside shot, I think we would take him.
I'd pick Jordan before I'd pick Dustin Johnson.
I'd pick Jordan. It's a perfect course for him.
And he's terrible right now, but I'd still pick him.
Because he'll be there on a Sunday with this course. What's wrong with us? We'd both take Jason Day in a heartbeat. Yes, Jason Day just tied for second.
Yeah, he always plays well there.
He's going to play great. You'd take Jason Day.
I hope he doesn't win.
Well, I like Jason Day. What's wrong with you?
I'd probably take Adam Scott again before I take Dustin Johnson. You take Patrick Reed, right?
Not right now. My man just threw up I don't even want to say it. I know what he threw up. 78, 77 at the Valspar. He couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. He was calling his wife. No, you don't want to take Patrick Reed anything right now. No.
He's got some kind of defiance that helps him rise up when he shouldn't.
He's going to miss the cut.
Okay.
He's a mess. A little side action for you.
A little side action.
A little side action for
Friday libation. A libation on a Friday because we'll know.
Well, okay, so what's the bet? Does he have to make the cut? That's a weak bet. That's a weak bet.
Well, I mean,
he's the defending champion. Well, he's not playing well. He's not in form. He's a mental midget right now. But he's the defending champ, and I got to do something better than make the cut. How about we...
Sergio missed the cut when he won it?
Oh, well, he took a 13.
And on Azalea.
He got screwed.
It was on Azalea.
We saw him get screwed, though.
Yeah.
He hit a bunch of perfect shots.
Yes, he did.
And he kept getting screwed. He hit him too well. It was all the backspin. Would you hit this off the toe, please?
I mean, it's like a foot below the hole. It comes to a rest, and it's like not resting anymore.
I was like, Jesus, that was uncomfortable. The 2 most uncomfortable things we've seen in the last however many number of years at Augusta was Serge's 13 or 16 or whatever the hell that was. And didn't Ernie Els quadruple a couple of holes?
He 5-putted.
Shot 86 or 87. There was something that we were all like, oh, no, I don't want to see this. Because he's a really likable guy,
Remember watching that video? Yeah.
Oh, I didn't like it. It was
number 1 or number 2. He 5-putted.
Well, I thought he was going to cry, too. I was like, this is not good.
But you know what? He came back a couple of years ago, made every cut in the majors.
The other thing he did was I think he came back that next day and shot 72 or something, where you're like, oh, okay.
Dude's an all-timer.
Yeah, he is, but that's a steal. I mean, if you throw up a 90 after 5-putting.
So would you take Dustin Johnson over Patrick Reed?
Yes.
In a draft right now?
Oh, yes. There's the bet.
All right, on Friday, who has the better score? Yeah.
Dustin Johnson.
That's the bet. I'll take
Fine.
Reed.
We could take a 4-day bet, a 2-day bet, a single-day bet.
Well, no, because we'll be celebrating with a libation on Friday. That's
the
wager. Yeah.
Dustin's going to smoke Patrick Reed's ass. That's not even going to be close. Final hour, forthcoming. Stay with it.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Water and money during the warmer season. Caller, you're on the air. What do you do to save energy?
With the warmer temperature, I know my AC is working overtime, so I make sure to replace my AC filter once a month.
Excellent suggestion. Next caller, you're on the air.
Well, the city of Tallahassee recommends that I take advantage of their grants and loans to get more insulation in my attic. That's really going to keep my cooling costs down.
These are some great suggestions. There are lots of ways to save. Caller, you're on the air.
I reduce energy for water heating by lowering my water heater temperature and installing low-flow shower heads.
We have time for one more caller. What do you have for us?
I make sure to use my programmable thermostat to regulate the temperature in my home when I'm away.
Thank you, caller. That's all the time we have today.
The City of Tallahassee Utilities would like to help you save as much energy as you can and save money while you're at it. Visit talgov.com for more information and start saving energy today.
Hendrick. Find new roads at the first annual Dale Earnhardt Jr. Race to 500. Shop our huge selection and get the biggest savings of the year. Everyone wins. Visit either of our 2 Tallahassee locations or DaleEarnhardtJr.Chevy.com.
Need help moving? 2 Men and a Truck Tallahassee provides professional home and business move services, both locally and long distance. For your next move, visit 2men.com or call them at 850-224-2232. 2 Men and a Truck, the movers who care.
Thursdays are Friday Eve, and that's a reason to celebrate. No matter what you're looking for, they've got you covered every Thursday down in College Town. Centrale offers 50% off select pizzas all day, every Thursday. Or you can stop by Township for Taco Thursday. $2 house tacos, $2. Madison Social offers the social agreement. You and a buddy can split 1 order of wings, 2 Madso burgers, 2 bourbons, 2 proof Madison Socials, all for just $40. See what they did there? And don't worry about parking. Plenty of spaces available in the parking deck or surrounding lots. Check out all the Thursday College Town deals right now on ThursdaysInCollegetown.com. We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Hobbit American Grill, voted 2018's home for the best wings in Tallahassee, is celebrating 40 years of serving good food to good friends for good times. March is here, and it is mad. The Hobbit American Grill gives you a chance to win big with Hobbit March Bracketology. There are 2 ways to play for your chance at a $50 gift card. Join the online challenge by visiting Hobbit West Facebook page or play in person during every tournament game. Stop into your local Hobbit American Grill today to play. For locations, hours, and online ordering, head to myhobbitonline.com today.
Pros know getting the next job means doing this one right. Lowe's is here to help with brands you need to power through any job. Like Hitachi Power Tools, soon to be known as Metabo HPT. Same tools, same warranty, new name. Stop in today and save during our Spring Black Friday sale and get up to 25% off select Hitachi Power Tools, like a 10-inch compound miter saw for just $99. For tools you can trust to get the job done right, do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. Offer valid through 4/14. See store for details. U.S. only.
Save the dates. Jerry's Famous Cigar Shop has rounded up some big names for the 2nd annual Cigar Festival, April 11th through 13th. Meet Rainier Lorenzo of HVC Cigars, Danny DeFabio of Rodriguez Cigars, and Carson Sereno, owner of Sereno Cigars. Walk away with free cigars, great swag, and memories to last a lifetime. The 2nd annual Cigar Festival is at Jerry's Cigars, April 11th, 12th, and 13th. Find out more at jerryscigarshop.com. Tallahassee's #1 destination for cigars.
Driving every day from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. This is what you need to know. A champion will be crowned tonight. It's Virginia versus Texas Tech in the national title game. Both teams playing for their first ever championship. The calling card for both Great defense. Sportsbooks have the over-under for points at 117.5. However, having more weapons in crunch time should be a big plus for the underdog Red Raiders tonight, in the opinion of ESPN's Jay Williams.
The multiple players that Texas Tech have that can do things off the dribble. They can create their own shots. Texas Tech having Jarrett Culver, having guys like Matt Mooney who made big-time shots the other day, or Moretti who can get into the cracks of the defense. I think those are guys, if the game comes down to the wire, they can go get their own. I think that's an advantage for Texas Tech down the stretch.
Texas Tech starting forward Tariq Owens, who sprained his ankle in the win over Michigan State, is expected to play. The Lightning open up as the big favorite to win the franchise's second Stanley Cup, 2-1 odds according to Westgate's Superbook. Tampa Bay won an NHL record-tying 62 regular season games this year. Second best odds to hoist Lord Stanley's Cup. The Flames and Golden Knights at 10-1. Hurricanes, Blue Jackets, Islanders seen as the longest shots, each at 30-1. The Stanley Cup playoffs open up on Wednesday night. NBA doesn't appear. Celtics guard Marcus Smart with a left oblique strain and forward Jason Tatum with a left shin contusion will play in the regular season finale tomorrow in Washington. Boston is locked into the 4th seed in the East, will play Indiana in the first round of the playoffs. Baseball, the struggling Giants with their second trade in less than a week. They've acquired first baseman Tyler Austin from the Twins in exchange for a prospect. 3-7 San Francisco, hoping that Austin can help its offense, which has scored only 25 runs in its first 10 games of this season. Last week, the Giants acquired outfielder Kevin Pillar from Toronto.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. Right on the corner and always right on the price. Check out the latest 2019 inventory at TallahasseeDCJ.com today.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least for today. Great to be with you. Thanks for listening to us. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live. Be the streaming free always. If I saw you at the spring game this weekend, I failed to mention it earlier. It was good to see everybody. It was nice. Went around, Tom, and had a good time out there in front of Doak on a beautiful day, shaking hands, kissing babies, and saying hello to the fellow Knowles. It was a sparse crowd, not a huge crowd, obviously, for the spring game.
So you met everybody.
Almost every single person there, yeah. By the way, we're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. And if you missed anything, you can go back there at the website and find the show. Or just go to iTunes afterwards as well, and we'll put all 3 hours up as soon as it ends. And again, thanks for the positive reviews there. You can email us, jcs at 979espnradio.com. On Twitter, it's at Jay Cameron Show. Hello, YouTubers. Hello, Periscopers. Hey. Well, so let's start with that. Let's start with the spring game. You're always warned. I feel like sometimes we in the media even chide to the point where it's annoying when we say, don't take too much away from the spring game. Take whatever you want to take away from the spring game if that's what you want to do. What I don't take away from the spring game is an overabundance of awe-inspiring belief in a passing offense because of the numbers, right? You see those numbers and you're like, well, good God, we're going to throw for 400 yards a game. No, don't do that. The spring game doesn't allow for that. But I do feel much better about the direction they're going than I did a year ago. Much better, certainly than I felt at the end of last year. The ability to get lined up. I know the bar is low, guys, but when you're not doing something and then you suddenly are doing it, I shouldn't say suddenly, but when you adjust and then do it right, that counts for something. I mean, imagine how apoplectic you'd be if you'd gone to that spring game and they were still having a hard time getting lined up. So they're getting lined up. They also played fast. Really, for a half, they played very fast and in control, I thought. So clearly the addition of Kendall Briles and Randy Clements and Ron Dugans has made a big difference. They obviously got these guys at least mentally and physically capable of executing the basics of their offense without being hung up on overthinking and the result being misalignments and false starts and the kind of confusion we saw basically week to week a year ago. That part improved. I thought Bavion Johnson played well, and good God, we've been waiting on relatively decent center play for eons now.
Yeah.
You know, are they still going to struggle, the offensive line, by way of comparison to their counterparts or the other teams in this league that are on the upper echelon? Yeah, we're not going to be a good offensive line, but we don't have to be the dregs of the league anymore, and they're capable of maybe being below average. So, and you've got help on the way, and they won't be split up during the fall. So, you know, to me, I thought they played better. I thought they looked like a group that wanted to hit somebody. They looked like a group that was more aggressive and engaged in their blocks and holding their blocks longer. So there were things to really get excited about. And the one thing we did know, we knew the receiver talent was there. We knew that James Blackman could be a very good player. He's certainly above average player if you keep him upright and let him distribute the football. And I think you could take that away from the spring game. I think you saw that that's all very well true. How consistently that will happen will greatly decrease when you play a real team who cares about getting stops, who's on scholarship as well, who's not participating in a spring game. You know, but still, lined up properly, much more organization, real talent at the skill positions, and I think better play of the offensive line. Also better play of the linebackers.
Yeah, the linebackers were a lot better too.
Well, McCray's going to be...
Yes.
You got something there.
And I think some of the players that weren't very good at that position last year were, again, not very good this year. And that stood out to me on a couple of drives.
Mm-hmm.
One in which Stanford Samuels dresses down somebody last year, had a bit of a rough season at linebacker. Early on, it was we had some issues that we need to clean up. I think one of the challenges moving forward to the fall is at the receiver position, sorting out how much playing time goes around. Because there's a lot of skill there. There should be a zero-tolerance policy for running the wrong route, not blocking or dropping the football, which I think is good because you've got options at every single receiver position, if you will, with every body type ready to go.
You do, yes, and I was really encouraged by that. We thought that was the case, but some guys have even grown up a little bit there.
They have, and I thought, for me, just the under-the-radar guy was Jordan Young. I know that Warren Thompson will be talked about. One thing I saw out of Warren I'm a little concerned about, but it's one practice, really. He runs a little hot. So they're going to have to make sure that they temper him so his temper doesn't get in his way. But Jordan Young looks the part, that body type, everything about it, the 0 to 60. Remember when he came in on signing day, I think there was a Tennessee flip late. The people that know recruiting said, listen, don't pay attention to his star rating. That kid has really high upside, and the coaching staff loves him. I can see why now. Yeah.
Well, and I thought Akeem Dent, who everybody's in love with, looks like he's going to be a player.
Yeah.
Everybody has said that Asante Samuels had a huge camp, and he looks like he did. He's a player as well. And then finally, we mentioned it a moment ago, but I didn't think Jaleel McCray was that big. That's a big dude.
That is a big dude.
And he's got a little what for to him.
And he's got a trigger. He gets from A to B.
Yeah.
And if you're going to make a mistake, make it at 100 miles an hour, right? It looks like he is that type.
Yeah, he's that type. And finally, if we're going to talk about newcomers and guys that we're excited about, I don't know how you couldn't circle Dante Lucas as being a much different breed of offensive lineman. He's going to make mistakes because he's so young, and he did. But we talk about a mentality with an offensive lineman, right? A want to bury you. One of the reasons that I was in love with Nelson at the next level was those highlights of him just taking people's souls. And that translated in year one as you saw a highlight reel of how many times he just pancaked people, and he liked to land on them when he didn't have to. He was nasty. Dante Lucas has some nastiness to him.
He does. I hope he's a starter. I think he can be, and the reason why, if he got his hands on somebody, he moved that person out of the way or at least neutralized him. And if you do that at his age without the strength that's to come, I love that. And then the great thing about him, too, is you saw when he was pulling, right, left, any direction they wanted, he's got the agility. It's funny to talk about somebody's first step or second step as a lineman. But if we want to move some people around here and create a numbers advantage, that dude gives you an advantage day one.
Yeah, and Amari Gaynor played well too. So now we're looking at guys that are going to impact this team at areas of need. And so you have a couple that you can circle there. And again, not to take too much away from a spring game, but don't temper your enthusiasm for things that have improved. Things have improved. There are areas that have improved. Will that mean the difference between, going 7-5, 10-2, 4-8? You can't really judge that from a spring game, but you can say these guys are going to make an impact for the good.
I think what I'm looking at here, and I understand that edge play is not that great. We're not that deep at defensive end or rush end, but there was some speed out there. I thought Josh Brown flashed in particular on one play. Leonard Warner looked okay. Outside of tackle, if you're just talking about the three interior positions, I think you got options. I really do. I think you've got multiple options. So if somebody goes down to injury, you're not completely screwed. I think you need to suffer 2 or 3 at minimum before you really start to have the attrition issues like you did last year on the offensive line. So I do think there is hope here, and I'm not buying into it too much myself because it's all about clicky pens and clipboards, but I do think there is potential here for this offensive line to get to that below average/average line in terms of against Power 5, the rest of the offensive lines across Power 5. They've got a shot to do that because just by sheer numbers. I think they've got a lot of bodies that they can throw at the problem.
And some guys that are hurt that didn't play.
Exactly, and Minshew and Dickerson, which, sure.
I don't know that before, I can count on them, but yeah.
They're going to give me a month. They're going to give me a month of football games. Well, okay, that's something. It feels like a baseball lineup or you have your 25-man roster, and you've got 2 or 3 people on the bench that are ready to come in certain situations. I do think the interior has that. You've got at least a 2 deep there, maybe a little bit more. Tackle, that's where the problem's going to be, I do think.
We knew that going in, though, right? We knew the tackles were going to be an issue, and the tackles were going to be an issue, and that sucks.
But it looks like they called the game away from it, which is nice, right?
Well, you got to get the ball into the quarterback's hands quickly, and they did a lot of that. So,
it's in there then. Yeah. The it's in you thing. All right. Well, it's in Kendall to look at a problem and say, you know what?
Yeah, we probably can't block it up on the edge.
Yeah, maybe I should get rid of the ball.
Yeah, they did that, and they threw off a play action when they didn't do that. So there you go. That's there. That's smart. That's what you do. Okay.
Cam McDonald looked okay too in protections and getting downhill and blocking. Trey McKitty had one that was ungodly. I forget who he blew somebody off of the line. I mean, it was noticeable. But Cam McDonald's pretty nice, too, so you got a couple options there in case you want to deploy a too tight set.
Before we get to the game tonight, obviously, the NCAA championship between Virginia and Texas Tech and what we saw over the weekend. Oh, by the way, just as an aside, I won't spend a lot of time on it because my audience doesn't want me to, but I did watch the women's final between Baylor and Notre Dame, and I have to admit I was fairly engaged. I mean, I did, I didn't watch every second. I certainly went back and watched a lot of the highlights.
You enjoyed
it? It wasn't terrible.
Okay. I missed that one, and I'm not trying to be funny.
It was dramatic as all hell. It really had all the drama you could want. Huh. You got a basket to go ahead to win the title with 3 seconds left, and then the best player for Notre Dame, who won it a year ago, gets to the free throw line for 2 free throws with a chance, and she misses the one, and they come up just short. It's drama-packed. You got a dramatic injury to the team, to Baylor's best player, and they get outscored from that point forward, which allows Notre Dame to come all the way back in a game they were getting thoroughly whipped in. At the end of the day, the better team won the game, but that's about the most you're ever going to get from me with that, and it was decent.
For me, I look at that situation, if I can say the word, and I say good for Tampa. Good for Tampa, because that event is another one down there that is a first-class arena, and I want more business to come to that guy because that ownership group's fantastic.
So there's this before tonight's game. Florida State did go down on the road and face arch rival Miami over the weekend in their 3-game set against the Canes. And, going into yesterday, I really thought that there was a chance their season was on the line. They may not have saved it by winning yesterday, but they may have kept it from going completely off the rails. For those that didn't see any of the games this weekend, Florida State got absolutely bludgeoned on Friday, 11-0. Then they got beat, shut out 4-0 the next day. So you had played 18 innings of baseball against your arch rival, and you hadn't scored a run. You had mixed in a lot of strikeouts and a whole lot of impotence, just wet noodles. These guys, it's embarrassing. And you go into yesterday's game, and I'm thinking, what'll be curious is, what if they get shut out here? If you play a 3-game set against your arch rival and you get shut out in all 3, something else is going on beyond just, pitching. At that point, I would have thought there's a chance, without knowing for sure, but I would have thought there's a chance they've quit. get swept like that against an arch rival in the old man's final
That's not
season.
good. Yeah.
No, I would have thought.
And I'm saying Miami's not good.
No, they're not great. No, they're much better RPI than us, but they're not a great team. We win the game yesterday 6-5. It's okay. J.C. Flowers is the star of the team by far. That guy right now is Mr. Do Everything. He pitches, he hits, he homers yesterday, he saves the game. It's more than a 3-out save because that's who he is. And that guy right now is arguably the most important player on the team. They're still a team that is riddled with issues, and that includes a level of strikeouts that's unheard of. But I would wonder, and we'll see because they play Florida next. Does Elijah Cabell continue to get to play? I watched every inning of the game yesterday. He went 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts. On the weekend, he was, I believe, 0 for 11 with 8 strikeouts. Can you run a kid out there who's 0 for 11 with 8 strikeouts for the weekend? Can you? I mean, there's no clue. He's got no clue. I don't know, man. At some point, that's fine. You can hit home runs 480 feet if you ever hit the ball. But a little bit of contact, you got first and third and nobody out. You strike out on 3 pitches. Later on, I think it was first and second with 1 out. You strike out on 3 pitches. I mean, I don't know what you do there.
It's a labor of love sometimes coaching is.
I just don't know what they do. I mean, I don't know what – I mean, they know the man's psyche. So is he the kind of kid that can handle being absolutely overwhelmed for long stretches at a time and looking completely lost? Or is he a kid that is going to continue to regress the more you roll him out there and let him get absolutely steamrolled? There are pitches – belt high, middle up, right down the heart. 1-0, 2-0 pitches down the heart that he swings through and doesn't touch. There were 2 occasions over the weekend where Miami pitchers decided, I'm not going to walk him. 3 down the middle, right down the heart. I've gotten behind. What am I doing? I'm going to throw this right down the middle. See what you got, big boy. Can't hit it. So he's domed up, clearly. I mean, he's completely domed up. And there are other issues, but I couldn't believe that. I'm glad Florida State got out of there with a W. It's nice to see Coach Martin get a win down at Marklight in his final game down in Miami. Beats his rival in the final game. That's good. Now, Florida, this is your last chance. Here you go. Provided no postseason matchup here in Tallahassee. If they get that win, you could at least hang your hat on. In your final go-around, you got to win over Florida and Miami in your last 2 times playing them. Now, they could face Miami in the ACC tournament. They could face them in another way. But at least regular season, you got those wins, if possible. Knock on wood. I don't really know what to predict there. But that's a – I mean, when was the last time you saw a kid go 0 for 10 or 0 for 11 with 8 Ks?
Oh, there's no way I could – if I saw it, I would remember it. And so I'm blanking, which means that I don't know that I've seen it.
It hurt my feelings. Like each time it happened.
Clearly it did.
Yeah, it hurt my feelings. Mm-hmm. I said something the first few times that he was useless in the situation. After a while, I was like, well, let's see if they roll him back out here. Let's see if they keep letting him get ABs. What are we going to do here? And it was brutal. The announcers are like, well, there are 2 outs in the inning as Mendoza comes to the plate. One would think Cabell is hoping Mendoza doesn't necessarily get a hit.
Brutal game.
I mean, that's a toughie, right?
It will find you, too. I mean, now the batting order always does, but if you have issues in the field, too.
You're not picking it up. Well, Miami shortstop can't throw the ball to first, and he made the most critical error of the game, and it was one of more than one. He had 2 in the game, and they were all wee.
Feast or famine, too, because he made a couple of killer plays on Friday night.
Well, he couldn't throw the ball to first, and he cost his team dearly on a routine ground ball that he gobbled up without a problem. Did the old double clutch, Tom.
Oh, that's
and
the
I
end
could
of
see
it.
I could see him. I'm like, where's this going to go? I yelled to my son. I go, watch this, and it's woo.
Man, that's
a toughie.
Shades of David Wright, man. He used to crow hop and pat the glove, and I remember there's a couple of Mets fans, even in undergrad, and we watched these games together, and the moment he did that, because he didn't always, but the moment he did that,
like,
all of us go, F. And we're thinking, Delgado at first must be like, oh, jeez.
Where's this
like
going to
he's
be?
like a goalie now.
He
He turns from a first baseman to a goalie.
Speaking of which, what a week. We get the game tonight, obviously. It's Masters week, and the NHL playoffs start. Woo!
It's
a glorious time.
The good thing for you at home, this is the PSA every single year. If you don't watch hockey, now is the time to do it. Just give it a shot.
Locked in, baby.
But the Lightning and Blue Jackets, because you want to get behind the old Tampa Bay squad here.
That's what you do.
But that is played on different nights than Boston-Toronto. And there's your series right there in the East. Folks, Boston-Toronto is going to be style versus style. It may not even go 6. Toronto's not playing great hockey right now. But if you're looking for highlights, that is the series. If you're looking for physical, grind you out type of style, then you're looking at Pittsburgh and the New York Islanders. That's a really good series as well.
I'm going to be flipping and flapping and flipping and flipping. I'm going to find it all. It's going to be glorious, plus a full slate of baseball all week long. Good times. I'll get to the basketball. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
thing I'm glad about is I've not heard a ton of people claim that in the moment they recognized that the Jerome dribble was double dribble, including Bruce Pearl, who says I didn't realize it either. And I give Charles Barkley credit, even though he was obviously openly rooting for Auburn. They were best to do it that way, by the way. You can't hide that. He's been that way his whole life.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? But, you're talking about an NBA Hall of Famer who didn't notice the double dribble. Bruce Pearl's been around the block, didn't notice the double dribble. The announcing team initially do not cite the double dribble. It's not till afterwards. And you and I have had a discussion. Gene Steratore was the star of the show.
Oh, my God.
He was incredible. Yeah, he did great. So the fact that nobody really knew that and I think people figured that Bryce Brown caused the deflection.
Exactly.
And so that's why. Well, it's only when you see the super slow-mo that you realize he just dribbled it off his foot. But you can understand how officials miss that.
There's also one angle that Virginia fans are pushing pretty hard that it looks like he might have got his jersey tugged.
Oh, he did he was trying to foul.
Right.
Yeah, he's
right.
trying to foul. So Bryce Brown's attempting to foul, and if you go back and watch that replay, and I know the one they're talking about. When you watch that, the refs missed the foul call. They're trying to foul there because they have a foul to give.
Yeah, exactly.
Normally, officials are locked in on that. They're going to blow that whistle quick because they know Auburn has a foul to give. But they don't blow it, and it is affecting. So you could argue, yeah, it's a double dribble, but he probably should have called foul. Offsetting, we're going to play on here. We're going to move on.
No, at that point, what you want is the dude just to chuck it up because the clock in his head was moving way too fast.
Which he did. But they called the foul before he did. And so it's crazy because even though that's the right strategy to use the foul, if you had known he was so panicked, if in the moment Bryce Brown could have realized he's just going to throw this thing up.
If Bryce Brown had watched the previous 5 minutes of basketball.
I'm saying, you've been told to go foul. You're going to foul. By all accounts, you're going to foul. You're going to do what your coach told you to do. You're probably pissed they didn't call the foul out the first time.
Yeah.
And you don't know, I guess. I mean, you'd have to be thinking about a lot of things in a hurry. Is he just going to chuck this up from here? I mean, you don't know.
Funny thing was, there was kind of continuation with the whistle. They probably would have preferred him to go to the line.
Yeah. So, afterwards, I know I've heard Bruce Pearl say, and I give him credit for this, hey, I didn't see it either. I didn't realize it, and I'm not even really mad about that. It's that, officials make mistakes. There's human error. He has said all the right things. It's a tough one to swallow. But for all of us watching from afar, it is joyous, and I don't have a particular problem with Auburn, to watch these mouth breathers sprinting to chant SEC, SEC, only to be told you didn't win the game, dumbasses. Is just a thing of beauty because it's what you deserve when you don't chant your own university's name, but rather that of the conference. What a clown show.
And that's what happened in Toomer's Corner.
That's exactly what happened
when the game was still
Corner.
going on. I would say after the game, but it wasn't after the game. It was while the game was still going on.
The game was still going on.
But those on two levels, right? Because it's SEC mouth breathing, but then it's also the type of fan who shows up to the event because it's an event, not because they give a damn about the outcome of the event. Because if you gave a damn about the outcome of the event, you would be more educated as to what's happening during the event. Instead, you showed up there because you wanted to party after you won. You didn't show up for any other reason.
Well, it's just, if you're an SEC fan, man, get a hold of yourself. I mean, there's a degree to which you can certainly be proud of the conference's prowess in sport, but not above and beyond the love and affinity you have for your own university. What is wrong with you? I mean, by and large, that SEC dominance in football that's led to all of this chanting is because of one football team.
I usually poo-poo that, too, because I think, it's not as bad as everybody's making it out to be. Well, excuse me, I stand corrected, because there's your evidence. That's the smoking gun of the fact that you people have, the SEC logo. You put that on your car instead of your, the license plate for your school. Maybe they should sell SEC license plates in Georgia and Alabama,
Mississippi,
and Arkansas,
Kentucky, Louisiana.
They'd be the best sellers. They'd sell better than the university alumni tags.
It's bizarre. It's just bizarre. I've never understood it. When Florida State kicks ass in the ACC, I'm talking about Florida State.
I think we're sitting on a gold mine here. Sell SEC plates.
It's just weird. I don't, listen, I understand that you had, obviously, LSU win a couple titles in there, and you go back to Florida's titles, but mainly this has all been evolving under Saban's watch at Alabama and their dominance and those that hits the wagon to it consistently. You're not seeing, not when we were dominant, and you're certainly not seeing it now that Clemson's dominant, ACC people running around yelling ACC after Clemson kicks people's ass.
Only to be funny,
Yeah, it's usually to make fun of people in the SEC.
Yeah. They didn't do this with Spurrier, though, did they? It's a
No, none of this happened until
Bama
Alabama's,
Saban, not even LSU Saban. It's a Bama Saban thing.
Yeah, it's the SEC had a miraculous run that is greater than any run that they had ever had in their conference's history. And during that time, and that rise to prominence is this, I would think, irrational jumping of the shark that I talk about, where fans decided to live vicariously through other teams in their conference instead of through their own team. And I don't know why. I don't know how that happened and why that happened, but it did somewhere along the way there.
Well, I got to tell you, man, my quadrant of the bracket here in the playoffs, it's Lightning and Jackets, and then it's the Maple Leafs and the Bruins. Whoever comes out of that quadrant,
that's your squad.
That's my squad, man, and I will rep them. I'll wear their gear.
Do you wear a shirt that just says East? What do you wear?
It says Atlantic Bracket.
Yeah, Atlantic Bracket.
Atlantic Bracket. Yeah. Go Atlantic.
Yeah, well, that doesn't really work for a chant, though. Atlantic.
ATL Antic. ATL Antic.
We'll have to actually talk about the game. Jeff Cameron, Show 97.9, ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Reminded that I'm old. The game starts too late for me tonight, Tom. I mean, I'm going to watch, obviously.
It's like a West Coast first pitch?
What are we doing with this?
I don't know.
Why that late? Was it always this late?
I think it is usually around 9 o'clock. Yeah.
Damn it, man. I'll take a little nap beforehand.
You know that pregame coverage for Westwood 1 starts at 6:30? I mean, for one game.
Coming up here in minutes.
For one game. I don't know. I may delay that. 2.5 hours for one game.
Well, what would you have on in its place?
The great Paul Feinbaum.
Yeah, we should probably run the pregame show. Run a little Westwood 1 pregame action for those driving around, my man. Virginia, 1 seed, certainly have gone a long way in erasing the horrific memories of last year's falling in the first round, historically so, to a 16 by getting to these finals. I will say, just big picture here, because I don't think most people listening don't really care who wins tonight's game, just that it'd be a good one. I'm that way anyhow. I don't really, I don't fly the flag for the ACC, even though I joke about it all the time. I don't really care who wins. I've appreciated both these teams. I talked about Texas Tech earlier when the tournament started. I thought they were a good team the 3 times I'd seen them play this year, just in their commitment to defense, and they had enough scoring. I didn't think they'd be in the finals. But that said, the matchup doesn't bother me. I know it bothers people because it doesn't feature marquee teams necessarily. Well, Virginia's kind of a marquee team. I mean, they are 34-3. They've had consecutive years where they've won over 30 games. They're a marquee program. He's done that. There's just no getting around that. The one blemish on the resume was that historically bad loss in the first round of the NCAA tournament. But he's done everything else there is to do. And as for Texas Tech, yeah, I don't sense that this is going to be a turn in the right direction forevermore for their program. But this year's team, replete with veteran players and a lot of defense, has been a real good basketball team. Can't win 31 games by being average, so they've been real good. I like the matchup. I'm intrigued by the matchup. It interests me completely. I'll be tuned in if I'm awake.
I think that's exactly where I stand on it, too, is I'm intrigued by it. I could see this game being decided in the mid-60s. I could see it being decided in the upper 70s because you get out in transition and then just things go a little bit haywire. I'm hoping for a higher scoring game with made baskets. At this point, I think it's going to be compelling no matter what the score is because these two teams can offer some things on both ends of the floor. But I'd prefer to see some made baskets instead of the bug coming up with the graphic that says 0 field goals in the last 6:35 or something like that.
Yeah, and you worry about it because it's 2 top 5 defensive teams per KenPom. Texas Tech is the number 1 in adjusted defense, and Virginia is number 1 in fewest points allowed. Yeah, I'm going to guess we're looking at 55-53, something like that. And it can be compelling as long as it's done well, as long as it's just a matter of 2 really elite defenses being elite. That's what they've been when they've needed to be. I know this. This tournament has been enjoyable. It has been enjoyable because game after game has provided drama, moments that you'll remember. I texted my mother the other night when Kyle Guy had to go to the free throw line, and I thought, what is it that's in some people? Like, he never looked like he was going to do anything but what he did. Those were always going to go in.
It's one of the best parts of watching college basketball, specifically in the NCAA tournament, because you had the Auburn free throws, the kid who shoots 60% for the season.
Yeah.
Just by looking at him, he was going to knock both down. He was
going to knock those down.
And then there was the kid who had hit how many in a row.
Yeah,
and you knew one was going.
Yeah.
And then that was it. He was going to miss at least one.
Yeah.
And he did.
And he did.
And then when Kyle goes up there, he's like got this goofy smile like he's always been there.
I do marvel, and I don't know. It's funny, when I was a kid watching the tournament, my mom would be like, oh, bless his heart, I feel so bad for his parents, or so happy if he made a big shot, right? And I never got that as a kid. Whatever, kid missed the shot. Yeah, it's a game. He's got to make those shots. I get it now, man. And you watching your kid at bat with a runner on third in a Little League game on a Wednesday, I'm like, come on, Bryce, get ahead. I can only imagine when it's to perhaps propel your team to play for a national title with the nation watching, and it comes down to that.
The good news in that situation, though, I think psychologically speaking, is they were chasing, and he hit a BS3 even to put them in that situation.
The one on the other corner, which is the other baseline.
And he's cleaning up Ty Jerome's mess. So it's not like he screwed up.
He's not the reason
he's
they're in
not
that
the
position,
reason they were in that position in the first place. There's freedom there. I think if Jerome goes to the free throw line, there's no chance. I think Auburn's playing tonight.
Yeah, that three that Kyle Guy hit that gave them a chance to be in a position to ever get down to into the game with a shot to win it is incredible because it's well defended. There's a hand in his face, and he nails it.
And I know I can't let this go today, but, I mean, that comes on the heels of Jerome pounding the ball into the court for 6 seconds for no reason.
Yeah, Jerome had a meltdown.
It's a 2-score game.
Yeah, he had a meltdown.
A complete meltdown.
And he got bailed out by Kyle Guy, whom he should send like earnings in his career.
Yes, the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Kyle Guy should garnish his wages for the remainder of his life.
But, I mean, that's a team sport, and you don't know how people are going to respond, and it is just remarkable to me. I mean, he could probably, many years from now, give speeches, lectures on what was going on inside of his head when he stepped to the free throw line, why he was calm, why it didn't. I mean, it's interesting. Look at the Auburn players, by the way, and we always say game recognizes game. When you're competing with people, you know the guys that you would prefer not have the ball because they're too good and they're not going to screw it up. And the guys you're like, let him have the ball. He's got no chance. You just recognize it. It's something about body language. Obviously, if you've competed against him for a long time, he's probably done things in his past to let you know, oh, yeah, he's an MF. Yeah, he'll hit it. Like all the golfers that play, it's Masters Week, so all the golfers for the better part of 10 years, certainly from about 97 to 2004, lined up with Tiger Woods on a Sunday, knew damn well that guy was going to do what he needed to do.
Or if it's the Ryder Cup and there's a 10-footer and Ian Poulter's standing over it.
That's going center cup.
And it has to go.
It's center cup.
It will go.
It will go. So, they know it, right? And it's true. They know it in football, the kind of quarterback that is going to be calm enough to lead and those that are going to fall to pieces. People get it. Well, I mean, those Auburn players, the look on their face, not that the foul was called, which I think deep down they know was a foul. I think they're frustrated because they know it was a foul. The closest defender, not the one who committed the foul, the closest defender on the baseline, you see the look on his face when he watches the contact, and he knows he's just hoping against hope that he lets him play. But he knows that's a foul. But what I was amazed by was that the look wasn't that of frustration about the call. It was the realization that kid's going to make these. Mm-hmm. He's going to make them. Yeah. They knew it.
Well, I think, honestly, though, if I'm an Auburn fan today, I look at that situation, I say if we didn't bump him as he's releasing the ball, he probably makes that shot anyway because that's who that kid is. If you look at it, I mean, the foul does, it changes the trajectory of the ball because it's still on his fingers when he gets bumped at the hip. And I'll bet that's going in because Kyle Guy was in that type of clutch zone. But the thing was, in the post-game interviews, both on CBS and in the media room, he says he was nervous as could be. But it's like Leo DiCaprio in The Departed. He's like, he's nervous, but my hand is steady.
My hand is steady, yeah.
That's exactly who he was. On the inside, he said he was terrified. But on the outside, it looked anything but.
This is why it's so cliche, but why Jimbo talked about it and every coach under the sun has ever talked about it. It's not that you say that you get it right, it's so that you can't get it wrong. That's why you practice, right? The muscle memory we talk about, players on the tour, if they can gauge their emotions and adrenaline and adjust for the distance of the shot, it's not that they're going to mishit the shot. Very seldom do you see a guy just top a ball because he's nervous. They have hit so many golf balls in so many reps over so many years, they're going to flush it. It's have they properly gauged the wind? Do he and his caddy agree on a distance, where you're trying to land it? And have you accounted for that spike in adrenaline? And that's where they talk about learning how to win. To me, I think they're talking about not the golf swing. They're talking about, do you understand what's going through your veins right now and how that's going to affect this shot? I think for Kyle Guy, it was a matter of, this is just the motion I've always done. I am a 90% free throw shooter. This is what I do. It goes in or it doesn't, but this is what I'm going to do. And being able to execute that is remarkable to me because I would think pressure, Faldo talks about this in golf, that it affects the big muscle groups, right? The inability to get them to do what they want. But, man, it looked flawless. So he makes the first two. They call timeout. He comes out for the third. Nothing changed. He's practically pimping as it's released. Like he's stepping back like that. That is always going to be good, boys. We can call 7 timeouts if you like. That is always going to go. I just admire it. I find it fascinating, and someday he could get really rich off of it just talking about that.
Well, and Jim Nantz was correct. He had the feeling, but he was correct when he said, "Are you ready for a memorable final minute of this game?" Because it was. I mean, the whole second half was incredible.
Well, and I feel like the tournament has provided more of those this year. I mean, if you think back to the Duke game, Michigan State, if you think back to the Virginia game, I mean, how the Purdue-Virginia game is as good a game as you're going to get.
Yeah.
I mean, this tournament has been filled with
UCF,
those.
Duke.
On down the line.
Yeah.
There have been so many of these moments.
It's a late bloomer, though. I mean, there was a couple in that first weekend. The New Mexico State game. I mean, that finish was amazing. But this was time released.
Auburn was about to be out of the tournament at the beginning.
Yes, yeah. That's how razor thin these things can be.
Yeah, so the matchup tonight is all about defense, and we'll find out exactly what happens here. I'm curious. I kind of side with Texas Tech here. They've played with the amount of confidence and aggressiveness that I haven't seen from Virginia in big moments. Virginia's up 10, and they sat on it. It was crazy.
Well, you would think if you're a Virginia fan, if you're going to be optimistic about tonight, you learn from something like that, to finish the job.
They've had a couple of them in this tournament, though, and I would have thought, guys, got to play the game. Got to play the game.
Find Kyle Guy in those moments and let Jerome can get you there, but then Kyle Guy's going to take you home.
Yeah, let Kyle Guy take you home. All right, hit probables. Here we go. Time to sign off.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
Rays are good, man, and they're fun to watch play, and they play, they played this afternoon. I'm not going to give you the score. I just looked at that. I hope Blake Snell pitched well.
I think you know.
A's, Orioles, Marco Estrada, Andrew Kastner. We got the Nationals and the Phillies, Anibal Sanchez and Vince Velasquez.
Cheers to baseball start times returning to normalcy this week. Because you have the home openers.
All the weird
we're done with that nonsense now.
None of that nonsense. You know who I like playing? Like to watch play? Your boy Alonso.
Oh, man.
He hits balls really hard.
Yes, he does.
They're fun to watch. I don't know if you saw my man, Mr. Bell, hit 478 feet this weekend over the batter's eye and straightaway center at PNC.
Yeah, there's something going on, man. I watch Quick Pitch a lot now, and I watched it on Saturday, and there were 4 or 5 home runs that weren't barreled.
But that was barreled.
That were way, but that were way over 400 feet. Some oppo. I don't know if we've got a juicing revolution again. The Mets broadcast was openly talking about a tightly wound baseball. I remember that talking point in the late 90s. Something's going on here.
Well, I don't know why. They hit a ton of home runs a year ago. We don't have to do anything else. I think it's the pitchers not adjusting to launch angles and just guys going for broke.
I think there are a lot more excuse-me home runs going on right now.
Well, we'll continue to watch. Let's see what happens. But Mr. Bell's was not an excuse.
No. And Alonso, I mean, that dude
I wanted to straightaway center the other night.
He's country strong as can be.
Woo! Yeah, he's big. All right, keep it going. We got A's, Orioles, Marco Estrada, Andrew Kastner. We got the did I already do that? Nationals, Phillies, Anibal Sanchez, Vince Velasquez. I think I did. Yankees, Astros, good game. Masahiro Tanaka and Justin Verlander. Okay. Dodgers, Cardinals, another good game. Ryu goes for the Dodgers. Miles Mikolas going for the Cards.
Yes. Went and got that one.
Mariners, Royals, Felix Hernandez. Felix is like, screw you, Tom Lang. I'm 1-0 with a 169. I could have started opening day.
A 1-point nice. That's what I got for you.
Homer Bailey hasn't gotten anybody out in 4 years. Somehow still has a job pitching for the Royals. Braves, Rockies, Julio Teheran going against Kyle Freeland. Padres, Giants, Eric Lauer, Madison Bumgarner. Brewers, Angels. Jules Chassin going against Trevor Cahill, and that is a look at those that shall reside on the bump. My favorite part of coming into the day, not my favorite part, but the Pirates having swept the Reds in a 4-game stretch. We lost to them on opening day, and really, the Reds, not really, the fact is the Reds haven't won a game since. And most of the time, they've been playing the Pirates. So I'm glad they got their one win, because other than that, they've been bent over. And they got thrown out yesterday. That was good.
Yeah, you guys are.
We will throw at you.
You are the
You're
bullies
not
of baseball.
You're not standing around at home plate, Dietrich. You're not standing over there for 30 seconds.
I know not every time you've been in a dust-up, it's your guys' fault, but it is mostly your fault because at some point the Pirates are involved in a brawl, and it seems like they are the other team, quote-unquote, in every single brawl. Yeah, you guys got something going.
Well, we'll throw at you.
Yeah, you will.
I like that about us. We'll especially throw at you if you're going to stand there for an hour after hitting a home run. We're not having that. Got to get thrown at. And I like that every one of the pitchers on the staff understands the rules. We're throwing at you. Stand there and pimp that. He sat there for 20 seconds. Did you see Cervelli yelling at him before he ran?
Yeah.
Cervelli's like, dude, I can't help you. My God, it's not like we won't throw at you. You know we're going to throw.
You know this.
You know we're going to
You know this about us.
If you hit a 1-1 single away, you're probably going to get thrown at the next time. You can't stand
Are you like
here.
the gambler who gets off on losing? Because what are you doing here? You know what's about to happen.
Well, and I love Archer, but admittedly, I know why he stood there. He was mad because Archer is theatrical when he strikes people out.
I feel like he's taking it to another level in Pittsburgh. What's going on?
No, he was that way in Tampa, too. It's just that he didn't have any success the last year and a half in Tampa, so he couldn't do it. He's pitching well in
Maybe
Pittsburgh.
it's because even though it's on every night here in Tallahassee, nobody really watched. I don't know.
But yeah, now he's...
I mean, yeah, it's like the second freaking inning.
I know.
Okay.
I laughed when he did it the first time. I went, well, he does have to bat, though. I'll give him that. You still got to go hit.
Mm-hmm.
So...
I was like Pedro with the Mets. I was like, yeah.
At least
you gotta get
thrown out. That's the way it works. It's going to happen. Good work out of you. Good work, Matthew. Be well. What do we got next? We got 30 minutes of...
yeah.
Followed up by the pregame
Restraint
show.
on a Monday.
Yeah.
I don't know, Friday that would have worked.
We'll talk to you tomorrow. Be well, everybody.